Damn the Iron Tower. Its defensive ability is still indestructible. The Nine Temple Saintess could not help but curse in her heart. The Iron Tower was known as the number 1 defensive ability. The number 1 defensive ability did not only target the divine body. In terms of soul defense, the Iron Tower's soul defense ability was also quite terrifying. Ordinary soul attacks won't affect him at all. Even if I use my strongest move, I can only barely hurt his soul. I don't think I can seriously injure his soul. Tai-Ta is much more difficult to deal with than Heavenly Sword Marquis. Nine Temple Saintess muttered. Although her soul attacks were ineffective against Jian Wushuang's weak attacks did not pose much of a threat to her. However, while Iron Tower's soul defense was extremely strong, its attack power was also very powerful, which was enough to pose a great threat to her. In comparison, she naturally felt that Iron Tower was more difficult to deal with. Humph! Just as Iron Tower's mace was about to hit Nine Temple Saintess, Nine Temple Saintess snorted coldly and immediately formed a towering Cyclops with majestic soul power in front of her. This Cyclops also held a spiked mace in his hand. In terms of size, it was not any smaller than the Iron Tower. Then, the spiked mace in the Cyclops' hand also smashed out. Bang! With a loud sound, the Cyclops kept retreating. Every step he took caused the void to tremble. Obviously, in a one-on-one situation, the Cyclops formed by the soul power of the Nine Temple Saintess were still a little inferior to the Iron Tower. If one isn't enough, what about the other 3? A dense green light appeared in the Nine Temple Saintess' eyes. In an instant, endless soul power swept out and formed 2 identical one-eyed giants. 3 giant one-eyed giants stood in front of the Nine Temple Saintess, and each of them had a shocking momentum. The Nine Temple Saintess was ranked in the top 3 of the True Saint list, so her strength was not to be underestimated. Any of the 3 one-eyed giants that she condensed with her soul power had the battle strength close to the True Saint list. If the 3 Cyclopes joined hands, even the top 10 experts of the True Saint list would be able to fight them. As the 3 Cyclopes attacked one after another, Iron Tower was soon completely suppressed. When the Underworld Emperor saw this scene, a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. You are indeed quite powerful since you are ranked 5th on the True Saint list. However, this doesn't mean that you can take the Blood Wave token away from the 2 of us. After saying this, the Underworld Emperor finally made his move. With a sway of his body, the Underworld Emperor easily bypassed the battle between the Iron Tower and the 3 Cyclopes and appeared in front of the Nine Temple Saintess. After which, a pitch-black blade light suddenly lit up. This pitch-black blade light was not only dazzling but also extremely demonic. This was a black demonic blade. It was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Wherever the blade light went, all lives would be destroyed. Not good. The Nine Temple Saintess was shocked. Immediately, a large amount of soul power swept toward the Underworld Emperor. The Underworld Emperor was indeed very strong, but in terms of soul defense, he could not compare to Tai-Ta. Speaking of this soul attack, the Underworld Emperor's body trembled slightly, and his hand movements also paused slightly. The power of the pitch-black demonic blade was greatly reduced. After that, the Nine Temple Saintess flipped her hand, and a long sword appeared in her hand. A faint sword hum sounded. This sword hum was extremely strange, and it continuously affected people's state of mind. After that, the sword light collided with the pitch-black demonic blade. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. The Nine Temples Saintess' body shook, and she staggered backward. It was not easy for her to regain her balance. So powerful. He was clearly affected by my soul attack and his power was greatly weakened. However, his blade still crushed me. My divine power was damaged by nearly 10%. The Nine Temples Saintess' expression was ugly. She finally understood why Underworld Emperor was ranked 3rd on the True Saint list. There were only a few people on the True Saint list who could block the blade just now. After all, the Nine Temple Saintess specialized in the soul. However, her close combat ability was not weak. She could also compete with ordinary experts on the True Saint list. However, Underworld Emperor was already affected by her soul and was still able to suppress her. How terrifying was Underworld Emperor's attack. Are you scared, Nine Temple Saintess? If you are smart, hand over the blood wave token and I will not make things difficult for you. However, if you don't hand it over, Underworld Emperor's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Humph! What a joke! The Nine Temples Saintess laughed disdainfully. You are courting death. The Underworld Emperor was a little angry. Nine Temples Saintess, I forgot to tell you that the attack just now was not my strongest attack. The next attack is... Hua! Another pitch-black blade light swept out. It was also extremely demonic. Moreover, the moment this blade light swept out, the entire world turned completely dark. The world no longer had any light, as if it had sunk into a dark void. This pitch-black demonic blade became the focal point of this dark void. This blade, the Nine Temples Saintess' pupils constricted. She could feel that this blade was more than twice as strong as the previous one. In her shock, she could only use all of her strength to block. But in the end, the Nine Temples Saintess was once again sent flying. At the same time, blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth, and the divine power aura on her body was immediately weakened. Damn it! I lost nearly 20% of my divine power in this attack. Nine Temples Saintess' face was unsightly, but she was immediately enraged. Emperor Ming, Tai Ta, you forced me to do this. A shrill roar echoed in the void, and Nine Temples Saintess' eyes exploded. At the same time, an object faintly appeared between her eyebrows. It was a Cyan Divine Lamp. The Cyan Divine Lamp emitted an ancient and majestic aura. Sensing this aura, whether it was Emperor Ming, Iron Tower, or Jian Wushuang who was far away from the battlefield, their pupils shrank. This is a supreme treasure. Jian Wushuang could not help clenching his hands. Yes, it was a supreme treasure. And judging from the aura, it was a soul attack type supreme treasure. This Nine Temples Saintess actually has a soul attack type true treasure? Underworld Emperor's expression changed. True treasures were something only Principles Masters were qualified to use. Although it was rumored that some immortal saints with great backgrounds or great opportunities also had true treasures, these immortal saints rarely used them even if they had one. Because true treasures were too precious, even Principles Masters would attach great importance to them. If it was not necessary, who would reveal that they had a true treasure? That would cause countless great beings to be greedy, and they might even be targeted by Principles Masters. Ordinary true treasures were like that, and soul attack type true treasures were no less precious than domain type true treasures. The soul attack of the Nine Temples Saintess is widely recognized as the #1 among the immortal saints. Now that she has a soul attack treasure, I'm afraid that Emperor Ming and Tai Ta are in trouble, Jian Wushuang murmured. Indeed, after the Nine Temples Saintess took out her soul attack treasure, the expressions of Emperor Ming and Tai Ta had changed, especially the Underworld Emperor. Although he was strong, his soul defense was not that great. The soul attack of the Nine Temples Saintess was enough to affect him. But now, Underworld Emperor, you asked for it. The Nine Temples Saintess' face was as cold as ice. Green light burst out from the green lamp between her eyebrows. This green light was extremely dense, as if the energy in the sky was gathering crazily. Buzz! The dense green light finally gathered in the eyes of the Nine Temples Saintess, making her look like two giant green suns. Looking at these two green suns, everyone around the battlefield could feel the trembling of their souls. Almost everyone could feel the trembling of their souls. It's this move again. Jian Wushuang, who was in the distance, also narrowed his eyes. He knew this move. Nine Temples Saintess had once used it on him. It was her most powerful move. Once, Nine Temples Saintess used this move to kill an invincible saint. At that time, she had not used her Soul Attack Supreme Treasure. Now, with the addition of the Soul Attack Supreme Treasure, the two green suns became even more dazzling and terrifying. And these two green suns were targeted at the soul. Destroy! The Nine Temples Saintess gritted her teeth and spat out these two words. The two green suns in her eyes instantly turned into two green arcs of light and shot toward the Underworld Emperor. These two green arcs of light were too fast. Even the Underworld Emperor could not dodge them. Not good. the expression of the Underworld Emperor changed greatly. He immediately used his soul defense technique to the limit and tried his best to block these two green arcs of light. In the end, with a bang, the Underworld Emperor's body twitched slightly. His face turned pale and the aura on his body became weak. However, although his aura was weak, it did not completely disappear. Clearly, under this attack, the Underworld Emperor's soul was severely injured, but it was not completely destroyed. The Underworld Emperor raised his head again. His eyes were filled with anger when he looked at the 9 Temple Saintess, but at the same time, there was a trace of fear. A serious injury to the soul was not a serious injury to the divine body. It only needed some god power to recover. It was extremely difficult to recover from a serious injury to the soul. Moreover, the soul was the foundation of a cultivator. If the soul was damaged, it would have a huge impact on strength. At least for the current Underworld Emperor with a serious injury to the soul, he could only display 60% of his current strength. Could be said that he was quite miserable. As for Tai Ta, the 9 Temple Saintess did not use her strongest move to deal with him. After all, Tai Ta's soul defense was indestructible and much stronger than the Underworld Emperor. She could severely injure the Underworld Emperor's soul, however, it was very difficult to severely injure Tai Ta's soul. However, because of the soul attack treasure, the power of the 3 Cyclopes who had been fighting Tai Ta all this time instantly rose to a whole new level. Almost any one of the Cyclops could fight with Tai Ta head-on. The 3 of them joined hands and suppressed Tai Ta to an extremely miserable state. Underworld Emperor, do you still dare to take the blood wave token in my hand? The 9 Temple Saintess stared at Underworld Emperor with a cold expression. The expression on Underworld Emperor's face was uncertain. He had an incomparable desire for the blood wave token, especially now that he only had 3 blood wave tokens, including the one in the 9 Temple Saintess hand. However, the 9 Temple Saintess methods could not help but make him afraid. His soul was already heavily injured. If the 9 Temple Saintess used the same soul attack as before, his soul would be extremely weak. If the 9 Temple Saintess could use it a third time, his soul would be destroyed here. 9 Temple Saintess, you are ruthless. I underestimated you. The Underworld Emperor's voice was low. He then glanced at Tai Ta. Brother Tai Ta, stop. Tai Ta immediately stopped and came to the side of the Underworld Emperor. Humph, at least the 2 of you are tactful. The 9 Temple Saintess snorted. With a thought, the 3 Cyclopes dissipated. At the same time, the green lamp between her brows slowly disappeared. The 2 of you farewell, the 9 Temple Saintess said and directly flew to the side. Emperor Ming and Tai Ta still stood there and had no intention of chasing after her. However, just as 9 Temple Saintess was about to leave, she immediately stopped. A figure had already blocked in front of 9 Temple Saintess. This figure was Jian Wushuang, who had been watching the battle. 9 Temple Saintess, where are you going in such a hurry? Jian Wushuang smiled. Heavenly Sword Marquis? 9 Temple Saintess glanced at Jian Wushuang and smiled coldly. If you could break my illusion from the beginning, you might be able to stop me from taking the blood wave token. But now that the blood wave token has fallen into my hands, even Emperor Ming and Tai Ta can't do anything to me. What can you do? You're right. You have a soul attack treasure, which even Emperor Ming is afraid of. But unfortunately, your soul attack is useless to me. Emperor Ming and Tai Ta can't take the blood wave token from you, but I might be able to. Jian Wushuang smiled strangely. Heavenly Sword Marquis, are you trying to waste time? 9 Temple Saintess did not take Jian Wushuang seriously at all. Waste time? I don't think so. 9 Temple Saintess, if I'm not mistaken, you don't have much divine power left, right? Jian Wushuang stared at 9 Temple Saintess. When you fought with Emperor Ming, you lost nearly 30% of your divine power after taking 2 blows from him. At the same time, you have to use your soul power to form 3 Cyclopes to fight Tai Ta. These 3 Cyclopes must have consumed a lot of your divine power. Most importantly, you used your soul attack supreme treasure to perform your most powerful move. After a pause, Jian Wushuang continued, I don't know how much divine power your most powerful move requires, but I do know that it takes a lot of divine power to use a supreme treasure. Supreme treasures were usually controlled by principles masters. Although the immortal saint could use some of the power of a supreme treasure, it required a lot of divine power to activate it. Jian Wushuang knew this very well. After all, he had the supreme treasure, Icefire Swimming Dragon Ruler, which consumed a lot of divine power to activate the Icefire domain. However, Jian Wushuang was a perfect chaos god, so his divine power was boundless. Naturally, he did not care. But the Nine-Temple Saintess was different. It's not so easy for an immortal saint to activate the power of a supreme treasure. If I'm not wrong, you'll need to use at least 20% of your divine power to activate your soul attack supreme treasure. In addition to the divine power you used before, you only have 50% or even 40% of your divine power now, Jian Wushuang said. You're right. My divine power is less than half of what it was when I was at my peak, but so what? Do you think you can kill me just because I'm not at my peak? The Nine-Temple Saintess sneered. She was confident in her strength. In her opinion, even if she only had 10% or 20% of her divine power left, it was still not enough for a mere heavenly sword marquis to kill her. However, after hearing her words, Jian Wushuang revealed an extremely strange smile. If you were in your prime and had abundant divine power, I wouldn't be able to kill you. But now you have less than 50% of your divine power left. It's easy for me to kill you. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. At the same time, he made his move. Buzz. Strong pressure from the life level began to press down without any warning. This pressure ignored the strength of both sides and the realm level. This was the pressure from the most fundamental life level. This pressure was impossible to resist. Standing in front of Jian Wushuang, Nine-Temple Saintess immediately felt the pressure from the life level. What? Nine-Temple Saintess' eyes were wide open, and her beautiful face was almost disfigured at this moment. She looked at Jian Wushuang as if she saw the most powerful existence in her race. No, even more terrifying than that existence. Fear. Trembling. Fear. All kinds of emotions emerged in Nine-Temple Saintess' mind. At this moment, Nine-Temple Saintess was completely dumbfounded. When Jian Wushuang pulled out the Blood Mountain sword and slowly slashed at her, she even forgot to defend herself. She just stood there in a daze and let Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword hit her. It should be known that Nine-Temple Saintess was best at the soul, but she was not strong in the defense of the divine body. As Jian Wushuang said, if she was at her peak with her vast divine power, maybe she could survive this sword attack. However, she only had less than 50% of her divine power left with Jian Wushuang's sword attack. Less than 50% of her divine power was instantly destroyed. The Nine-Temple Saintess did not even have time to scream before her divine body collapsed and her voice was completely cut off. Dead, dead. The Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta, who had not left yet and had seen everything, were stunned. The experts who were fighting for the Blood Wave token, as well as the people who had rushed here during this period, were also stunned. They were all stunned. Some of them even opened their mouths wide. The Nine-Temple Saintess, who was ranked in the top 5 on the True Saint list, had just revealed her soul attack treasure and fought with the Underworld Emperor. Judging from the scene, her true ranking on the True Saint list could actually rise to the 3rd place. However, such a peak expert, who even Underworld Emperor feared so much that he could only let her leave, was killed by Jian Wushuang in a short instant. Moreover, he had killed him head-on without any other means. How is this possible? Impossible. This is impossible. Are we all under an illusion? Almost no one wanted to believe that what was happening was real. Emperor Ming was the first to react. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Emperor Ming looked at Jian Wushuang with unprecedented seriousness. What did he just do? He was nearby. When Jian Wushuang performed that sword move, he also vaguely felt the pressure from the life level. The pressure made him want to kneel down in fear. Jian Wushuang relied on this method to kill Nine-Temple Saintess without any struggle. Although Nine-Temple Saintess has less than 50% of her divine power, she is still not someone who can be killed easily. Even Light King, who is ranked first on the True Saint list, could not kill 9 Temple Saintis in one move even if he used his strongest move without any defense. But Heavenly Sword Marquis did it. Underworld Emperor muttered with his eyes wide open. Then he looked at Tai Ta, who was also stunned. Brother Tai Ta, your defensive ability is recognized as the best among the Immortal Saints. Are you sure you can block the sword of Heavenly Sword Marquis? Emperor Ming asked. Tai Ta frowned and shook his head. I can't. Although I haven't experienced the power of that sword, I can see that it has completely surpassed the realm of the Immortal Saint. If that sword came at me directly, even if I tried my best to defend, my divine body would be destroyed by it. Of course, his sword can only make me lose 20 to 30% of my divine power, but it can't kill me in one strike. Tai Ta had absolute confidence in his defensive ability, but he did not have the confidence to face Jian Wushuang's attack. Even you can't block it? Emperor Ming could not help sighing. Without a doubt, in terms of attack power, the power of Heavenly Sword Marquis attack is above that of all the Immortal Saints. Even the most powerful move of Light King is far from being comparable to his. Such a move, without any accident, already has the ability to kill experts on the True Saint list in an instant. Insta-kill an expert on the True Saint list? Tai Ta's heart trembled. While Emperor Ming and Tai Ta were shocked by Jian Wushuang's skills, Jian Wushuang had already taken away the interspatial ring left behind by the 9 Temple Saintis, as well as the green lamp that had appeared between her eyebrows. With the death of the 9 Temple Saintis, it also appeared in the void and was naturally taken by Jian Wushuang. After collecting all the things, Jian Wushuang planned to leave. But at this time, the Underworld Emperor immediately called out to him. Heavenly Sword Marquis. The Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta had already walked up. What's the matter? Do you want to take the blood wave token from me? Jian Wushuang asked playfully. The Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta looked at each other. Then the Underworld Emperor smiled bitterly and said, We really want the blood wave token, but we know we can't take it from you. So we came here to discuss it with you, Heavenly Sword Marquis. Discuss? How? Jian Wushuang seemed to be interested and asked casually. Heavenly Sword Marquis. The Underworld Emperor looked over. I know that you've already obtained a blood wave token before, so even if you get another one now, it won't be of any use. Why don't you give me this blood wave token? As for the conditions, feel free to mention them. From the Underworld Emperor's expression, it could be seen that he really desired this blood wave token. He really wanted it very much. This was also very normal. After all, 8 blood wave tokens had already appeared, and all of them had fallen into the hands of others. There were only 2 chances for them to appear in the future. It was unknown if he would be able to encounter these 2 blood wave tokens. Moreover, during his fight with the 9 Temple Saintis, his soul had already been heavily injured by the 9 Temple Saintis. His own strength was greatly affected, and he was greatly weakened. The damage to his soul could not be repaired easily. Even if the battle for the Blood Wave Realm was over, Underworld Emperor estimated that his soul could not be completely repaired, and his battle strength could not be restored to its peak. This made him less confident in the fight for the Blood Wave token. Therefore, he was very eager to have the Blood Wave token in Jian Wushuang's hand. Hearing the words of the Underworld Emperor, Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly and then smiled. There are too many people here. Let's find a place to talk. Okay. The eyes of the Underworld Emperor lit up. Jian Wushuang did not reject him on the spot, which meant that this matter was promising. Immediately, Jian Wushuang, the Underworld Emperor, and Tai Ta went to the void to the side. After they left, the experts who remained in the void were completely in an uproar. After all, a peak expert who ranked 5th on the True Saint list had just died here. Without a doubt, the death of the 9 Temple Saintis was enough to cause an unprecedented sensation in the Blood Wave realm. In a quiet void, Jian Wushuang, Emperor Ming, and Tai Ta stopped. Emperor Ming, you can say whatever you want now, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. I've said what I want to say. The Blood Wave token in your hand is very important to me. I want to get it no matter what price I have to pay. Underworld Emperor said solemnly. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you can help me with the conditions. As long as I can meet them, I won't refuse. Conditions? Jian Wushuang shook his head. To be honest, I don't have anything special that I need right now, so I can't offer any conditions. So you should see for yourself what methods you can use to move me. Jian Wushuang did not lack treasures. He had a lot of treasures. He even had a domain-type supreme treasure, and now that he had killed the 9 Temple Saintess, the green lamp of the 9 Temple Saintess had also fallen into his hands. This was also a soul attack-type supreme treasure. As for other things, such as cultivation resources and natural treasures, they were also not attractive to him, not to mention saint elixirs. At his level, he did not care about the number of saint elixirs. Therefore, if Underworld Emperor wanted to impress him, he had to use some special items. Underworld Emperor also fell silent. Obviously, he knew that it was not so easy to impress Jian Wushuang. He pondered for a moment before speaking. I once obtained a token by chance. This token was left by an extremely powerful Principles Master. With this token, I can enter the mystic realm of heaven and earth and have a chance to receive the legacy of this Principles Master. The True Eye Master? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had heard of the True Eye Master because he had interacted with a fallen Principles Master in the Temporal Temple. The secret skill left behind by the Principles Master in the True Martial Mystic Realm had mentioned the True Eye Master. Just as Underworld Emperor had said, the True Eye Master was indeed an extremely powerful Principles Master. Although he could not be compared with Temple Master Bai Xing and the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, among Principles Masters, he could be considered at the top level. The mystic realm left behind by such a Principles Master was indeed valuable. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Is this token enough to exchange for your Blood Wave token? Emperor Ming asked. Not enough. Jian Wushuang shook his head. First of all, I don't know if the token in your hand was really left behind by the True Eye Master. And I'm not sure if this token can really allow me to enter the mystic realm created by the True Eye Master. Secondly, even if I use this token to enter the mystic realm created by the True Eye Master, I don't know what the True Eye Master left behind in the mystic realm. Most importantly, since the True Eye Master left the heaven and earth mystic realm to find a successor for himself, the successor he found is definitely the most suitable to become his disciple. I'm not sure if I'll be taken in by True Eye Master. After all, the True Eye Master cultivates the soul. To sum it up, this token is not very useful to me. At most, I can use this token to exchange for some other resources. How can it be worth a Blood Wave token that can enter the Blood Wave Palace and almost 99% can break through to become a Principles Master? Underworld Emperor frowned and did not refute Jian Wushuang's words. Indeed, the token left by the True Eye Master was very precious, but it was not as important as the Blood Wave token. Other than the token left by the True Eye Master, I don't have any other treasures. However, I can add one more favor to it. I can also spread this favor on my own initiative and let everyone in the Blood Wave realm witness it. With this favor, you can ask me to do something for you in the future, even if it's life-threatening. As long as it's not certain death, I'll agree. How about it? Oh! Jian Wushuang's expression changed. If the keepsake left by the True Eye Master was just a momentary hesitation, then Jian Wushuang was really tempted by the favor of the Underworld Emperor. Although the favor of the Underworld Emperor was useless to him now, once the Underworld Emperor got the Blood Wave token and entered the Blood Wave Palace, he would probably become a Principles Master. Underworld Emperor was ranked 3rd on the True Saint list, and his battle strength could barely be compared with special life experts like Saint Devil Sun. Such an expert was extremely talented. Once he became a Principles Master, he would definitely be an expert among Principles Masters. He had a lot of room to grow. He might become a top Principles Master in the future, and he might even have a chance to reach the level of Temple Master Bai Xing and the 3 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. When that time came, the value of this favor would be amazing. Jian Wushuang began to think. Seeing Jian Wushuang's silent expression, Underworld Emperor immediately became anxious. What? The token left by the True Eye Master and my favor are not worth a Blood Wave token. That's not true. Jian Wushuang smiled. Your 2 conditions have indeed moved me, but you also know that I come from the Temporal Temple, and there are 5 other people who came at the same time as me. 4 of them don't have a Blood Wave token. Now that there's an extra one, I naturally have to consider them. Well, wait for me. I'll send a message first. Okay. Underworld Emperor could only suppress his anxiety for now. Jian Wushuang took out a message token. This message token belonged to Temple Master Bai Xing. Among the immortal saints in the Temporal Temple, there were only a few who were qualified to have the message token and could directly communicate with Temple Master Bai Xing. However, Jian Wushuang was one of them. Temple Master Bai Xing. Jian Wushuang directly sent a message to Temple Master Bai Xing, Heavenly Sword Marquis. You should still be wandering in the Bloodwave realm, right? Why do you have the time to look for me? Temple Master Bai Xing quickly replied. Temple Master Bai Xing, it's like this. Jian Wushuang briefly recounted what had happened. You got 2 Bloodwave tokens at the same time? Even Temple Master Bai Xing was shocked to hear the news. Jian Wushuang had just killed the 9 Temple Saintess and obtained the 2nd Bloodwave token. Therefore, although Temple Master Bai Xing had been paying attention to what was happening in the Bloodwave realm, he had not received any news. I do have 2 Bloodwave tokens, but the problem is that Emperor Ming came to me and offered me a very good condition. He wants me to give him the extra Bloodwave token. I'm worried that Chen Hongzi and the others don't have the Bloodwave token yet, so I'm a little hesitant, so I came to ask you, Temple Master Bai Xing, Jian Wushuang said. Underworld Emperor? I've heard about him. He's ranked 3rd on the True Saint list and is quite talented. What did he offer to tempt you? Temple Master Bai Xing asked. One is a token left by the True Eye Master and a favor from Underworld Emperor. Jian Wushuang answered truthfully. Oh! Temple Master Bai Xing raised his eyebrows. The keepsake left by the True Eye Master is nothing. After all, the True Eye Master specializes in the soul. His keepsake is very useful to experts who specialize in the soul, but it's not very useful to you. However, the favor from the Underworld Emperor is worth fighting for. You want me to agree to the Underworld Emperor? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, Temple Master Bai Xing said. When the Underworld Emperor showed his super strength in the Bloodwave realm, the intelligence department of the Temporal Temple had already investigated his background. The result was that not only was the Underworld Emperor extremely talented and has great potential, but he also has an amazing master behind him. Master! Jian Wushuang was stunned. Yes, the master of Underworld Emperor is very powerful. He is a terrifying existence that is not to be trifled with. Even our Temporal Temple would not want to provoke him unless it was absolutely necessary. If you can get a favor from the Underworld Emperor, you will naturally form a relationship with his master. He might be of great help to you in the future. So, of course, you have to fight for him, Temple Master Bai Xing said. If I agree with him, then Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and the others, Jian Wushuang frowned. Don't worry about them, Temple Master Bai Xing said directly. The opportunities in the Bloodwave realm belong to those who are capable. These 2 Bloodwave tokens were obtained by you alone and with your own strength. They belong to you. You can deal with them however you want. Besides, it might not be a good thing for them if you give them the extra Bloodwave tokens for free. The path of cultivation is based on endless trials and tribulations. If they don't fight for the Bloodwave token and get it from you, no matter who gets it, it will have a great impact on their state of mind. In this situation, let's not talk about whether they can break through to become a principal's master through the opportunities in Bloodwave Temple. But even if they do, their achievements will be limited to this. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. He also agreed that it was not a chance that he had to risk his life for. Even if he got it, it might not be a good thing. I'll ask Han Yuan to tell Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and the others. Now use this Bloodwave token to get the favor from Emperor Ming first, Temple Master Bai Xing said. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded and then cut off the communication with Temple Master Bai Xing. In the void, Emperor Ming was waiting anxiously, and Tai Ta was standing beside him. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his face. With a flip of his hand, the Bloodwave token he got from the 9 Temple Saintess appeared in his hand. Emperor Ming, give me the token left by the True Eye Master. With your help, the Bloodwave token is yours. Upon hearing this, Underworld Emperor was overjoyed. He immediately took out the token left by the True Eye Master and handed it to Jian Wushuang. At the same time he said, "If it's a favor, Iron Tower will bear witness for now. Later, I'll immediately spread the word and let everyone in the Bloodwave realm know that I owe you a favor. There's no rush. The mighty Underworld Emperor, the third-ranked genius on the True Saint list, shouldn't go back on his words." Jian Wushuang smiled and handed the Bloodwave token to Underworld Emperor directly. After receiving it, the Underworld Emperor was so excited that his body was trembling. After a long while, he exhaled heavily and looked at Jian Wushuang again. "Brother Heavenly Marquis, thank you so much. If you're not busy, how about we have a drink now?" "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. He could tell that the Underworld Emperor wanted to make friends with him because of his gratitude. Jian Wushuang was also very willing to make friends with a genius expert like Underworld Emperor and his powerful master. Soon, the three of them found a place and began to talk about making friends. While Jian Wushuang was talking with Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta, the death of 9 Temple Saintess caused a huge wave in the Bloodwave realm. After all, the 9 Temple Saintess was one of the top 5 super experts on the True Saint list. Such an expert should be able to do whatever he wanted in the Bloodwave realm. Since the opening of the Bloodwave realm, many experts had died in the fight for the Bloodwave token. Even the Invincible Saint had died. However, there was not a single expert on the True Saint list who had died. This was because it was almost impossible to kill an expert on the True Saint list in the Bloodwave realm. Even if the Light King personally took action, he would not be able to kill the experts on the True Saint list. Moreover, these experts on the True Saint list were not stupid. Once their lives were threatened, they would choose to hand over the Bloodwave token. After all, those who could be ranked on the True Saint list were not weak in talent. Even if they did not get the Bloodwave token this time or the opportunities in the Bloodwave realm, they might have a chance to become a Principal's Master in the future. Therefore, a Bloodwave token was not worth their lives to fight for. On the contrary, many experts who were not qualified to be ranked on the True Saint list regarded the Bloodwave token as their only hope to become a Principal's Master. That was why they were desperate to fight for it. Even if they only had 20 to 30% of their godly power left, they were not willing to give up this opportunity. That was why they were killed. But this time, there was finally an expert on the True Saint list who died in the Bloodwave realm, and the one who died was the 9th-ranked 9 Temple Saintess. Thus, the entire Bloodwave realm was in an uproar. The 9th-ranked 9 Temple Saintess is dead? In a cave abode that was temporarily opened, the Light King, who was wearing a loose robe and carrying a cyan-colored long rod on his back, opened his eyes. A trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Light King, ranked first on the True Saint list, was widely recognized as the strongest among the Immortal Saints. He also believed that no one among the Immortal Saints could match him, especially in terms of offensive power. His stick skill combined 2 principles at the same time. It was enough to crush any Immortal Saint. But now, when he received the news, especially when he learned that the 9 Temple Saintess had nearly 50% of her divine power left, he was completely shocked when she was killed by Jian Wushuang with 1 sword strike. I know 9 Temple's Saintess' strength very well. Although she specializes in the soul, her life-saving skills are not weak. Even I, when 9 Temple Saintess was unprepared, could only kill 20% to 30% of her divine power with my strongest strike. But Heavenly Sword Marquis destroyed 50% of her divine power with 1 strike. Is the sword strike performed by Heavenly Sword Marquis stronger than my strongest attack? At the thought of this, a huge wave rose in the bottom of Light King's heart, and at the same time, a shocking battle intent rose. Light King was an extremely arrogant person, and his arrogance was the result of him being in the strongest position. But now, Jian Wushuang's appearance made Light King feel a little threatened. He vaguely felt that Jian Wushuang was qualified to threaten his position. That was why he wanted to fight with Jian Wushuang. No rush. Heavenly Sword Marquis has already obtained the Bloodwave token. When the competition is over and the door of Bloodwave Temple is opened, I will meet him. Then I will have a good time with him. Light King murmured. He closed his eyes again. On an empty space, several figures gathered there. The atmosphere was a little gloomy. These people were from the Flame Saint realm. The leaders were Gu Jinzi and Kong. At this moment, oh my God! The Nine Temple Saintess is dead. She was killed by Heavenly Sword Marquis. A cry of surprise suddenly came out of a person's mouth. Instantly, the people of the Flame Saint realm were shocked. All of them revealed expressions of disbelief. The Heavenly Sword Marquis killed the Nine Temple Saintess? How is this possible? He is ranked 5th on the True Saint list. Even the Light King doesn't have such an ability, right? The people of the Flame Saint realm could not believe it was true. However, Gu Jinzi and Kong were relatively calm after they heard the news. While the others were shocked, Gu Jinzi and Kong looked at each other. Kong said directly, "He must have used that move again." "Yes." Gu Jinzi nodded slightly. "That terrifying sword, when I was on guard against it, directly slashed at me. It destroyed more than 80% of my divine power and could still kill junior brother Blue Eagle. The power of his is simply unbelievable. Not to mention that the Nine Temple Saintess has already lost more than 50% of her divine power in the battle with the Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta. Even if her divine power is at its peak, it is still very dangerous when she meets this Heavenly Sword Marquis. In terms of the strongest attack power, no one in the Blood Wave realm can compare to Heavenly Sword Marquis Sword. He can definitely kill an expert on the True Saint list in an instant. The problem is, I don't know how many times Heavenly Sword Marquis can use that ultimate sword. If he can only use it once in a big battle and needs a long time to recover before he can use it a second time, that would be fine. However, if he can use it 2 or 3 times in a big battle, that would be truly terrifying. If he can perform such a powerful sword attack 2 or 3 times at the same time, almost no one in the Blood Wave realm can survive it. "At the very least, you and I can't do it," Kong exclaimed. "I hope it belongs to the former. However, no matter what, Heavenly Sword Marquis is not someone we can deal with. Even if we add in the other 2 saint realms, we can't compete with him. We must be careful in the coming time. We must not let Heavenly Sword Marquis target us again," Gu Jinzi said in a deep voice. Kong also nodded solemnly. He knew very well that they had already suffered heavy losses when Jian Wushuang targeted them. If they did it again, few of them in the Flame Saint realm could survive. In a corner of the central area, the 5 people of the Temporal Temple gathered together. "Oh my God! The Heavenly Marquis brother actually killed the 9 Temple Saintess?" Chen Hongzi widened his eyes in shock. Yes, he did. Although the 9 Temple Saintess wasn't in her peak state, she had nearly 50% of her divine power. However, she was killed by the Heavenly Marquis brother with 1 sword strike. "Isn't the Heavenly Marquis brother too terrifying?" Duan Lang exclaimed. They had also received the news. After receiving the news, they were all stunned. "Di Hao, the Heavenly Sword Marquis killed the 9 Temple Saintess. This method is even more impressive than yours. What are your thoughts at this moment?" Chen Hongzi teased. "I don't have any thoughts. It can only mean that he is powerful." Di Hao's expression was still cold. However, from his eyes, it could be seen that he was extremely shocked. Chen Hongzi curled his lips. Then he said, "According to the information, after the Heavenly Sword Marquis killed the 9 Temple Saintess, the 9 Temple Saintess soul attacked Supreme Treasure, and the Blood Wave token fell into his hands. The Heavenly Sword Marquis had 1 Blood Wave token, and now he has 2. One of them is useless against him." Duan Lang, Yu, and Fei Shui's eyes were red, but they soon smiled bitterly. They had all received a message from the Chaos Origin Master telling them that Jian Wushuang had exchanged the Blood Wave token for the favor of the Underworld Emperor. They had no choice but to accept it. After all, Jian Wushuang had obtained the Blood Wave token alone, so it was up to him to decide how to use it. Outside the Blood Wave realm, in another base of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, in the Grey Void, a barefoot, childlike person stood in front of a huge crystal. On the crystal, there were densely packed words. These words were a list of experts, and this childlike person was writing this list. However, during this process, his brows suddenly furrowed, his hands stopped moving. "Lord Tong!" A loud voice rang out, and a 2-meter tall bald old man appeared in the Grey Void. "Chi Hua!" The child raised his head and glanced at the bald old man. How come you have time to come here? I just happened to pass by here, and I saw you looking rather distressed. Why? Did you run into trouble? The bald old man looked at the child. Isn't it because of the true saint list? The child curled his lips. He said, the blood wave realm has opened, and countless top saints have gone to fight for the opportunities within. Many experts on the true saint list have also participated in it. After fighting for it again and again, new experts have appeared one after another. Naturally, the rankings on the true saint list have to be updated frequently. Since the blood wave realm opened, I've updated the true saint list several times. It's not a big deal, but this time there's a person's ranking. I don't know how to arrange it. The true saint list had been issued by the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, the #1 freedom alliance of the divine beginning realm, for a long time. Moreover, it had always been very authoritative. As long as a new true saint list was released, almost no one would question the rankings on it. And as Tong Jun, who was in charge of gathering intelligence and updating the true saint list, of course, he would be extremely cautious about changing the ranking on the true saint list. Who is it that you don't know how to arrange? The bald old man asked. Other than Heavenly Sword Marquis. Who else? Tong Jun's voice was low and deep. This Heavenly Sword Marquis is very strange. Although he has relied on his invincible life-saving ability and the #1 assassination ability to make many immortal saints in the blood wave realm fearful, his true combat strength is only at the level of an invincible saint. Such a person shouldn't be ranked on the true saint list. However, not long ago, Heavenly Sword Marquis suddenly went crazy and killed the 9 Temple Saintess, who was ranked 5th on the true saint list. 9 Temple Saintess couldn't even be killed by the Light King, but Heavenly Sword Marquis did. So I don't know how to identify him. He killed 9 Temple Saintess, so it doesn't make sense for him not to be ranked on the true saint list. But if he is ranked on the true saint list, based on the terrifying sword attack he used to kill 9 Temple Saintess, he is even more terrifying than Light King. He can definitely be ranked first, but his strength is obviously not at that level. Tong Jun was indeed troubled. It was because Jian Wushuang was not very strong himself, but only had a strong trump card. But a trump card was also a kind of strength. Just like the old Valley Master of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, the old Valley Master was not very strong herself, but because she had mastered the supreme divine skill of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, if she really went crazy, even the 3 Supreme Saint Masters of the 3 Saint Realms would have scruples. Jian Wushuang was obviously in this delicate state. He was not very strong, but his trump card was even weaker than that of the Light King. Because of this, it was even more difficult to rank him. Haha! It's actually not difficult. The bald old man laughed. With the Heavenly Sword Marquis methods, he should be on the true saint list. However, you don't have to rank him first. Instead, based on his battle record, didn't he kill the 9 Temple Saintess who was ranked 5th on the true saint list? Then why don't we just let him replace the 9 Temple Saintess and rank him 5th? Rank 5th. Tong Jun's expression changed, and then a smile appeared on his face. Good idea. The ranking on the true saint list is largely determined by one's battle achievements. Take an ordinary person's challenge as an example. If a person who is not on the true saint list were to defeat an expert on the true saint list, he would naturally be able to occupy the position of an expert on the true saint list. Now that Heavenly Sword Marquis has killed the 9 Temple Saintess, he would occupy the 5th position of the 9 Temple Saintess. There's no problem. Tong Jun smiled and soon began to write on the crystal. After he finished writing, a new ranking on the true saint list was immediately spread throughout the Blood Wave realm. In a temporary cave mansion in the Blood Wave realm, Jian Wushuang, Emperor Ming, and Tai Ta were sitting at a stone table. There was wine on the table, and the 3 of them were drinking and laughing. Suddenly, Emperor Ming's expression changed. He looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "Congratulations, Brother Heavenly Marquis." "Congratulations on what?" Jian Wushuang was confused. "The new true saint list has been released. Not only are you on the new list, but you're also ranked 5th. Emperor Ming said, 5th on the true saint list? Isn't that the ranking of the 9 Temple Saintess? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Yes, it's her ranking. In fact, I think it's too low for you to be ranked 5th, Underworld Emperor said. Don't praise me. I know very well how strong I am. Jian Wushuang smiled. Although you're only ranked 5th, the evaluation of you on the list is quite high. You can take a look first, Taita said at this time. Really? Jian Wushuang asked. The changes in the rankings of the True Saint list were especially important to the experts in the Blood Wave realm. Therefore, every time the new True Saint list was released, the Chaos Master would immediately pass it on to the people of the Temporal Temple. Jian Wushuang also received a complete True Saint list. The first 4 rankings on the new True Saint list remained unchanged. However, the 5th position, which used to be the name of the 9 Temple Saintess, had now become Heavenly Sword Marquis. The following introduction about Heavenly Sword Marquis was plentiful. Heavenly Sword Marquis, a special life form, a super genius rarely seen in the divine beginning realm for hundreds of millions of years. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised by the first sentence. A special life form? A super genius rarely seen in hundreds of millions of years. Jian Wushuang could not help touching his nose. He was not surprised by this special life form. After all, whether it was his attack in the outside world or his amazing performance in the Blood Wave realm when he was surrounded and killed by the experts of the 3 Saint realms, it was enough to explain the uniqueness of his physique. Through that battle, the experts of the various forces in the divine beginning realm could guess that his life level was not ordinary. It was almost certain that he was a special life form. It was normal for the information of his ranking to announce that he was a special life form. As for the super genius who was rarely seen in billions of years, it was even more normal. After all, his ability to cross realms was there. At least, no one in the divine beginning realm could have this talent. Next, the ranking information detailed Jian Wushuang's numerous battle achievements. From the famous battle where he killed a rank 7 true saint in the first heaven, to the battle in the Blood Wave realm where he played with the 3 saint realms, to the crazy slaughter during the feast. The process of severely injuring the Destruction Saint realm, Life and Death Saint realm, and finally killing the 9 Temple Saintess was clearly described and concluded. Among the immortal saints in the divine beginning realm, Heavenly Sword Marquis has the best survival ability, assassination ability, and frontal attack power. In addition to his incredible talent and potential, although he is not strong enough, his trump card is enough to sweep the True Saint list. Therefore, after careful consideration, the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance ranked him at the 5th place on the True Saint list for the time being. Jian Wushuang was stunned by the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance's final evaluation of him. First in life preservation, first in assassination, and first in offensive power. That's 3 firsts. Underworld Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang in amazement. I've been famous for so long and finally got the first in defense. But compared to you, Brother Heavenly Marquis, I'm far behind. Taita also smiled. Jian Wushuang spread his hands and said, I admit that I'm the first in life preservation and assassination, but the first in attack power? Isn't that a bit too much? No, it's not. Emperor Ming shook his head. Taita and I can clearly feel the sword attack you used to kill the 9 Temple Saintess. I dare say that the power of your sword attack is definitely beyond the scope of the Immortal Saint. Even the first-ranked Light King and the second-ranked Holy Devil Son can't perform such a terrifying attack. Therefore, in terms of the strongest attack power, your sword attack is indeed superior to everyone else. But my sword is my strongest trump card. In a big battle, I can only use one sword move at most, while the Light King and the Holy Devil Son can use their ultimate moves many times. Jian Wushuang said. Who cares about them? In short, it's enough for the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, which released the True Saint list, to admit that you are the strongest in attack power. And I dare say that regardless of the experts in the Blood Wave realm, there will be no doubt about this ranking and your 3 first positions. Emperor Ming said with a smile. Yes, after all, you killed 9 Temple Saintess with 1 sword strike. It's a fact. Light King and Holy Devil Son can't do it. Taita added. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang could only shake his head and smile. At this moment, a communication token in Jian Wushuang's interspatial ring vibrated. Jian Wushuang, didn't you say that you can't kill 9 Temple Saintess? The one who sent the message was Miss Shower. She had just received the news that 9 Temple Saintess had been killed by Jian Wushuang. I was just lucky. Or rather, 9 Temple Saintess was too weak. I found an opportunity to kill her. Jian Wushuang replied immediately. He was telling the truth. Even if he had the heaven-cleaving skill, he could not kill 9 Temple Saintess in her peak state. After all, with his current strength, he could only use the heaven-cleaving skill once in a big battle. He could only use the heaven-cleaving skill once. He could only use the heaven-cleaving skill once to destroy 60 to 70% of 9 Temple Saintess' divine power, but he could not kill her as long as 10% of her divine power remained. In any case, you did me a favor by killing 9 Temple Saintess. You have repaid the favor I owed you for saving your parents, but you still owe me one, Shower said. Jian Wushuang could not help smiling bitterly. He knew that he owed Shower 2 favors in total. The first one was when he met Shower. In order to exchange for the lives of several fellow disciples of his sect, he had to owe Miss Shower a favor. The second one was, it was Shower who helped him transfer his parents and family. Now that he had killed 9 Temple Saintess, he had returned one favor, but he did still owe her one. I'll return the other favor when I have the chance, Jian Wushuang said. There's no rush. You should think about your situation first. I forgot to tell you that the 9 Temple Saintess you killed came from the Nine-Tailed clan, one of the 4 great divine clans. She has an extraordinary status in the Nine-Tailed clan. In this era, the 9 clan leaders have 6 daughters, and this 9 Temple Saintess is the youngest one, Shower said with a strange smile. What? Jian Wushuang was shocked. He had guessed that the 9 Temple Saintess should have a certain status in the Nine-Tailed clan, but he did not expect her to be the daughter of the 9 clan grandmasters. The grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed clan, one of the 4 great divine clans, stood at the top of the divine beginning realm. He killed his daughter, so the Nine-Tailed clan grandmaster would seek revenge on him? Miss Shower, you didn't tell me this before? Jian Wushuang asked in a low voice. If I told you the identity of the Nine-Tailed Saintess, would you dare to kill her? Shower chuckled. Then she said, don't worry too much. As far as I know, the grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed clan has been in closed-door cultivation all these years. She has never asked about many important matters of the Nine-Tailed clan. I'm afraid that the death of the 9 Temple Saintess will not allow her to come out of her closed-door cultivation. However, I don't know about her sisters and other experts of the Nine-Tailed clan. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. Even if the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan did not come out personally, as one of the 4 great divine clans, the Nine-Tailed clan had many experts. They could easily send some powerful principles masters to kill him. There were also the sisters of the 9 Temple Saintess. After all, the youngest daughter of the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed clan, the 9 Temple Saintess, was ranked 5th on the True Saint list. Her older sisters had probably broken through to become principles masters. They would definitely kill him like crazy. Miss Shower, you know so much about the Nine-Tailed clan, and your charm is exactly the same as that of the Nine-Tailed clan. If I'm not mistaken, you must have been a member of the Nine-Tailed clan before you reincarnated. But what is your identity in the Nine-Tailed clan? Why do you want me to kill the clan leader's daughter for you? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. You don't need to worry about my identity. Shower refused to answer this question. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and did not continue to ask. Instead, he said, Miss Shower, I have killed the 9 Temple Saintess for you and returned your favor. But where are my parents, my elder sister, and my second brother? Jian Wushuang knew from Shower that his parents had been living well, but he did not know the exact location. Shower had never told him. Your parents are in the 3rd heaven, and they are in the territory controlled by the Nine-Tailed clan. If you have the guts, you can come and reunite with them at any time, Shower replied. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang frowned. The 3rd heaven was the trump card of the 3 Saint Realms. The 3 Saint Realms controlled everything, and he and the 3 Saint Realms would fight to the death. If he went to the 3rd heaven, it would be fine if he was not discovered. But once he was discovered by the 3 Saint Realms, even if he mastered the space-time teleportation, he would not be able to escape. He was not absolutely sure that he could escape. Father, mother, eldest sister and second brother are doing well. I don't need to go to them for the time being. In the future, when I break through to become a Principal's Master and become stronger, I will be able to face the 3 Saint Realm Masters from the 3 Saint Realms. I can go then, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Suddenly, his heart tightened because he thought of his parents in his previous life. After all, he had lived 2 lives. In this life, his parents, his elder sister and second brother, at least he knew where they were and how they were doing. But in his previous life, in the eternal chaotic world, which was in the damaged 7-star divine realm, he had his own parents and many relatives, brothers, and comrades. Their situation was always in dire straits. The 7-star divine realm was in danger under the threat of the 3 Saint Realms. He did not know how long his master's magic array could last. Once the magic array collapsed, the remaining 7-star divine realm would be exposed to the experts of the divine beginning realm. It would be a disaster. There are too many things that I need to protect. I also need to become stronger. I can't change anything now. Only when I become a Principal's Master and become strong enough to face a Saint Realm Master will I be qualified to protect what I need to protect. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. After a while, he let out a sigh of relief. Miss Shower, thank you for informing me. After saying this, Jian Wushuang cut off the communication with Shower. Next to the stone Abel in the cave mansion, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes again. Brother Heavenly Marquis, you look a little pale. Did something happen? Underworld Emperor looked over. Nothing. I just remembered some things in the past. Jian Wushuang smiled, then picked up the wine bowl and said, Come, let's drink. Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta looked at each other and smiled. Jian Wushuang, Underworld Emperor, and Tai Ta stayed in the cave mansion for the rest of the time, drinking and chatting. Jian Wushuang and Underworld Emperor had each received a blood wave token, so there was no need for them to fight for anything else. They just needed to wait for the fight to end and for the door of the Blood Wave Temple to open. As for Tai Ta, although he desired the Blood Wave token, he was not very demanding. Jian Wushuang did not continue to look for trouble with the 3 Saint Realms. He knew very well that after the battle where he killed the 9 Temple Saintess, as long as the 3 Saint Realms were not stupid, they would never let him find them again. Fortunately, he was too lazy to look for trouble. Time passed. On the 3rd day after Jian Wushuang killed the 9 Temple Saintess, the 9th Blood Wave token appeared. The appearance of the Blood Wave token immediately attracted the attention of many experts. However, it happened to be in a remote place. There were not many experts in the vicinity, and one of them was unknown. However, he was very good at escaping. This expert was very lucky. He obtained the Blood Wave token at the first moment, and then directly escaped from everyone's sight, thus occupying the 9th Blood Wave token. What was even more laughable was that no one recognized this expert from the beginning to the end. No one knew who the 9th Blood Wave token had fallen into. After that, there was no way to chase or fight for it. Haha. Luck. Luck. This person's luck is really good. The Underworld Emperor's hearty laughter reverberated throughout the entire cave abode. The 9th Blood Wave token and one of the last 2 Blood Wave tokens should be enough to drive many people crazy. However, this man quietly took the Blood Wave token and ran away, leaving those who longed for it helpless. This man's good luck is one thing, but the most important thing is that he is too low-key. He is clearly an invincible saint, but no one knows him. The mirror image of him taking the Blood Wave token has been spread out, but no one recognized him. Such a completely unfamiliar expert is hiding in the Blood Wave realm. As long as he changes his appearance slightly, it's almost impossible to find him. Naturally, the Blood Wave token will be taken by him, Tai Ta said with a smile. It seems that to get the Blood Wave token in the Blood Wave realm, you need not only strong strength but also luck. No wonder so many peak saints and some weaker invincible saints came here to try their luck, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Yes, luck is very important. Tai Ta and I were so unlucky that we didn't get the Blood Wave token. Otherwise, we wouldn't have attacked the 9 Temple Saintess, Underworld Emperor said with a smile. The 3 of them sat in this cave abode and paid attention to the movements and changes in the Blood Wave realm. Not long after the 9th Blood Wave token was created, the 10th Blood Wave token was also created. The last blood wave token caused a lot of killing. There were also hundreds of experts participating in this battle. In the end, amidst a bloody storm, this last blood wave token had fallen into the hands of the Snow Saint, who was ranked 10th on the True Saint list. Since then, all 10 blood wave tokens had been obtained by others. This crazy blood wave token battle within the blood wave realm had almost come to an end. Those who had obtained the blood wave token were naturally satisfied. As for the majority of experts who had not obtained the blood wave token, they could only do nothing about it. After all, there were only 10 blood wave tokens. With so many people fighting over it, not being able to obtain it could only mean that they were weak or had bad luck. In the cave abode. It's over. The fight is finally over. The Underworld Emperor smiled. Of the 10 blood wave tokens, except for one which fell into the hands of an unknown expert, the other 9 all fell into the hands of an expert on the True Saint list. Most of the top 10 people on the True Saint list have gotten the blood wave tokens. But what's more interesting is that the 3 great saint realms who are so high and mighty didn't even get a single blood wave token this time. Taita let out a playful laugh. Thanks to the blessings of the Heavenly Sword Marquis, the 3 great saint realms are really miserable this time. Taita laughed. Humph. They brought it upon themselves. The Underworld Emperor snorted coldly. The 3 great saint realms were the overlords of the third heaven. The 3 great saint realm masters were able to intimidate everyone. Over the long period of time, the experts of the 3 great saint realms had always been one level higher than the others. In the past, when the blood wave realm was opened, the experts of the 3 saint realms could more or less get a few blood wave tokens. If they were lucky, they could get 4 or 5. Even if they were unlucky, they could at least get 1 or 2. However, because of Jian Wushuang, when the blood wave realm was opened, the 3 saint realms were severely injured and lost a lot of experts. Most importantly, they were too afraid of Jian Wushuang. They did not dare to appear in front of Jian Wushuang, so they were timid when fighting for the blood wave token. As a result, the 3 saint realms did not even get a single blood wave token this time, and they lost so many experts for nothing. The 3 saint realms have always been overbearing, but this time, it's finally over. Underworld Emperor gloated. Many experts in the Divine Beginning realm did not like the 3 saint realms. However, because the other side was too powerful, they could only complain in their hearts. It was rare to see the 3 saint realms suffer, so many people felt relieved. Emperor Ming was very happy. The enmity between me and the 3 saint realms is very deep. This is just the beginning. I will fight them again in the future. We'll see what each of us can do. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with coldness. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, "Well, all 10 blood wave tokens have been created. If I'm not mistaken, the door of Blood Wave Palace should be open soon. Let's go there now." Okay. Underworld Nether and Taita nodded. Soon, the 3 of them flew toward the center area. In the center area, a huge, boundless palace that exuded an ancient aura stood quietly. There was a special magic array around the palace. This palace was Blood Wave Palace. When Jian Wushuang and the others arrived at the Blood Wave Palace, there were already many experts waiting nearby. The 5 people from the Temporal Temple had also arrived. "Everyone, how have you been?" Jian Wushuang walked over. "Haha, brother Heavenly Marquis." Seeing Jian Wushuang's arrival, the people from the Temporal Temple immediately smiled. "Underworld Emperor?" Di Hao glanced at Underworld Emperor with a strange look in his eyes. Di Hao. Underworld Emperor also noticed Di Hao's gaze and could not help but be moved. Between the 2 of them, one was ranked 3rd on the True Saint list, and the other was ranked 4th. Originally, Di Hao should have been ranked 3rd, but because of Underworld Emperor's sudden appearance, he became 4th. In addition, the 2 of them had not really met, let alone wanted to fight. "I am very curious. Why are you ranked 3rd on the True Saint list?" Di Hao asked in a deep voice. "Why? Do you want to fight?" The Underworld Emperor smiled sinisterly. "Forget it." Di Hao shook his head. "Looking at your condition, it seems that you are not at the peak. Under such circumstances, even if I defeat you, it would be meaningless. Moreover, both of us have obtained the Blood Wave token. We can enter the Blood Wave Hall immediately. If nothing unexpected happens, Both of us should be principal's masters after walking out of the Blood Wave Hall. There is no need to care about the ranking on the true saint list. Emperor Ming smiled and did not say anything. He was indeed not in his peak condition. After all, he had been severely injured by the soul of the 9 Temple Saintess, so it was not easy to repair the damage to his soul. The door of the Blood Wave Temple is about to open. There are quite a lot of people here. Jian Wushuang spread his soul power and could sense a large amount of aura around him. At this moment, there were a lot of experts around the Blood Wave Temple. There were already more than 2,000 people. As expected, more than half of the experts who were still in the Blood Wave realm appeared here. It seems that these people still have a glimmer of hope for the Blood Wave token. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. According to the rules of the Blood Wave realm, whoever has a Blood Wave token can enter Blood Wave Temple. Before the door of Blood Wave Temple is really opened, it is still in the competition stage. At this time, they can still crazily fight for the Blood Wave token. Because of this, these people came here in advance and wanted to find an opportunity to attack the experts who have the Blood Wave token. Underworld Emperor said. Yes, but those experts with Blood Wave tokens are not stupid. Look, they have already arrived around the Blood Wave Temple. Including the 3 of you, there are only 5 of them, Taita said. Jian Wushuang smiled. He knew which 5 Taita was referring to. On his side, he, Emperor Ming, and Di Hao each had 1 Blood Wave token, so there were 3 of them. His soul power also sensed 2 auras around him, which belonged to the Light King and the Saint Devil Sun. The Light King and the Saint Devil Sun were ranked 1st and 2nd on the True Saint list respectively. Emperor Ming was ranked 3rd, Di Hao was ranked 4th, and Jian Wushuang was ranked 5th. They were the 5 strongest people on the True Saint list. Because of their strength and absolute confidence, they did not hesitate to appear in front of everyone. Although there were many experts gathered around the Blood Wave Hall, no one would think of fighting them. However, other than the 5 of them, the 5 remaining experts who had obtained the Blood Wave token, including the 6th-ranked Master Ku, the 8th-ranked Han Xian, and the 10th-ranked Snow Saint, did not show themselves. It was because they had some concerns, therefore, they wanted to wait until the Blood Wave Temple was officially opened before rushing over. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. We're coming from the Light Dynasty, Underworld Emperor said. Everyone looked in a direction. There, a handsome man wearing a loose robe and carrying a cyan-colored long stick slowly walked toward them. He did not stop until he was less than 100 meters away from them. Light King, what's the matter? Underworld Emperor looked at Light King from the corner of his eyes. If it were anyone else, they would be very nervous and stressed when facing Light King, who was ranked 1st on the True Saint list. But now they had 4 experts on the True Saint list and they were ranked 3rd, 4th, 5th, and the last one, Taita, who was ranked 1st in defense. With such a lineup, they were not afraid of Light King at all. I'm looking for Heavenly Sword Marquis. Light King looked directly at Jian Wushuang. Looking for me? Why? Do you want to attack me? Jian Wushuang gave a strange smile. Light King, I advise you not to humiliate yourself, Di Hao said. Among the people that Light King was facing, Di Hao and the people from the Temporal Temple were undoubtedly on Jian Wushuang's side. As for the Underworld Emperor and Taita, the Underworld Emperor owed Jian Wushuang a favor. In addition, the 3 of them had been chatting for the past few days and had developed a certain friendship. If Light King came to find trouble with Jian Wushuang, of course, the 2 of them would also choose to help Jian Wushuang. In such a situation, if the Light King still wanted to attack Jian Wushuang, he would indeed be asking for trouble. Don't misunderstand. The Light King looked around at the people in front of him, but he smiled and said, I didn't come to find Heavenly Sword Marquis to kill him like last time. After all, I only accepted the invitation from the 3 Saint Realms, and the 3 Saint Realms offered me a condition that I couldn't refuse. But since the siege, I have done what I should do. What happens between you and the 3 major businesses has nothing to do with me. I'm not here for anything else. I'm here for the evaluation of your killing power. Oh! Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I have no objection to your being called number 1 in terms of your life-saving ability and assassination ability. However, I don't agree with you that your killing power is number one. After all, I have always thought that my killing power is the strongest among the immortal saints. Therefore, I really want to compete with you. Light King's eyes sparkled. You and I will use our strongest move and see who is more powerful. What do you think? I see. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. He finally understood the purpose of the Light King's visit. To put it bluntly, he was not satisfied with the evaluation of his killing power on the True Saint list. The Light King has always been arrogant and confident in his own strength. Brother Heavenly Marquis, you were only ranked first in your life-saving ability and assassination ability, so it doesn't matter. After all, these two rankings are just some means and cannot be considered as strength. However, it's different if you are ranked first in your killing power. It means that, in terms of the strongest attack power, you are stronger than him. That's why the Light King wants to challenge you, Taita said softly. I understand. Jian Wushuang understood. Brother Heavenly Marquis, how about it? Do you want to compete? Underworld Emperor whispered. With the power of your strongest sword, you can crush Light King. Yes, I think so too. Taita also nodded heavily. Di Hao and the people of the Temporal Temple also looked at Jian Wushuang. At this time, Jian Wushuang revealed a strange smile. Light King, it's not a problem for you to compete with me in the strongest power. However, it's meaningless to compete in this kind of competition. Why don't we add some stakes? Add stakes? Underworld Emperor and Taita were both stunned. They had witnessed Jian Wushuang's terrifying sword move and thought that Jian Wushuang could win against Light King. Therefore, they supported Jian Wushuang's competition. However, they did not expect that Jian Wushuang was smarter than them. At the same time, he actually wanted to increase the stakes. This increase in stakes was a gamble. Light King, what do you think? Jian Wushuang looked at Light King with a smile. Interesting. Light King also smiled. Okay, let's increase the stakes. However, since our strength has reached our level, and we will soon enter the Blood Wave Temple and become Principles Masters, ordinary things are useless. How about this? Many years ago, I obtained a Reincarnation Pearl from an invincible saint. I will now use this Reincarnation Pearl as the stakes for our competition. How about it? Samsara bead? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. He did not know what the Samsara bead was, but judging from its name, it must have something to do with the reincarnation principles. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I know that you have not only comprehended the space-time principles, but you have also studied the reincarnation principles. It's just that your comprehension of the reincarnation principles is far inferior to the space-time principles. This time, when you enter the Bloodwave Palace, you will become a Principles Master with the space-time principles. But after becoming a Principles Master, you will definitely find a way to master the second principles, which is naturally the reincarnation principles. The Samsara bead is the proof to enter the Samsara Heaven domain. It is said that the Samsara Heaven domain is a cultivation holy land for comprehending the Samsara principles. If you can enter it, it will be of great help to you in comprehending the Samsara principles, said the Light King. Samsara Heaven domain? Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. I have heard of the Samsara Heaven domain. It is indeed very useful for cultivators who are comprehending the Samsara principles, Taita said. Hearing this, a smile appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. As the Light King had said, it was difficult for ordinary things to attract people with their strength. However, the certificate to enter the Samsara Heaven realm was very helpful to him. I've taken out my wager, but what do you use as your wager? The Light King looked at him. Light King, the Samsara bead you took out is indeed useful to me, but I don't have any treasure that can help you a lot. Although it's not useful to you, I believe it's much more valuable than your Samsara bead, Jian Wushuang said. Then he flipped his hand, and an azure lamp appeared in his hand. As soon as this azure lamp appeared, an ancient and majestic soul aura immediately spread out. Sensing this aura, many experts present were stunned. This is a supreme treasure. It's a soul attack supreme treasure, the one belonging to the 9 temples saints. The Underworld Emperor and Taita recognized this azure lamp immediately. After all, they had fought with the 9 temple saints and forced her to use this supreme treasure. Soul attack treasure? When he saw the green lamp, Light King's eyes lit up, and he laughed heartily. Haha, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you are really generous. In terms of value, not to mention one reincarnation pearl, even 2 or 3 can't compare to the soul attack treasure in your hand. Using this soul attack treasure as a wager is obviously giving me an advantage. But I, Light King, am not a person who likes to take advantage of others. In this case, in addition to the reincarnation pearl, I will add 3 top-grade Holy Treasure Protective Armor and 1 top-grade Soul Defense Holy Treasure as a reward. Although the value is still not as valuable as your Soul Attack Treasure, this is all I can offer. Okay. Jian Wushuang smiled and directly agreed. The betting was settled, and soon Jian Wushuang and Light King were ready to fight. Underworld Emperor, Di Hao, and the others immediately stepped aside to make way for an empty battlefield. The experts who were looking for opportunities around Blood Wave Temple noticed what was happening. What's going on? It seems like the Light King is going to fight with the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Yes, they are going to fight, and it was the Light King who took the initiative to go up. However, they shouldn't be fighting to see who is stronger. After all, the Light King is definitely the strongest. The reason they are fighting now should be because of the number 1 offensive power. The first place in attack power? Although the Light King was publicly acknowledged to be the strongest, the Heavenly Sword Marquis killed the 9 Temple Saintess with 1 sword attack. Then, he was recognized as the first place in attack power by the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Now, if the 2 of them were just fighting for the strongest power, the outcome would not be certain. In my opinion, the Light King will definitely win. After all, he has merged the 2 principles, and his strength is unfathomable. In terms of attack power, the power of the combination of the 2 principles is too strong. That's not necessarily true. You didn't see the scene where Heavenly Sword Marquis killed the 9 Temple Saintess. Although the 9 Temple Saintess has less than 50% of her divine power left, I dare say that the Light King is absolutely incapable of doing that. Many experts expressed their views on the fight between Jian Wushuang and the Light King. Some thought that the Light King's attack power was the strongest, but many also thought that Jian Wushuang's unique skill was the best. After all, even the ranking on the True Saint list said so. But who had the strongest attack power was about to be revealed. In the vast void, Jian Wushuang and the Light King were facing each other from a distance. Light King, you attack first. Jian Wushuang appeared very casual. Then I won't be polite. The Light King smiled faintly, and the Saiyan long stick on his back appeared in front of him. As he held the long stick in his right hand, in an instant, a dense wave of light and wind principles surged out. The power of these 2 great principles was incomparably dense. Clearly, the Light King's comprehension of these 2 principles had already reached the limit of a true saint. And the most terrifying thing was that after these 2 great principles surged out, they directly fused together at the fastest speed. When the new power emerged after the 2 principles merged, everyone present was filled with fear and gratitude. Among the many immortal saints in the divine beginning realm, only the Light King could merge the 2 principles. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what I'm going to use next is my most powerful move. I created it many years ago after merging the 2 principles. So far, I've only used this move 4 times. 3 times I killed an invincible saint, and the last time I killed 8 peak saints in one breath. Extermination. I named this move Extermination. Light King stared at Jian Wushuang with sparkling eyes, and his leisurely voice spread throughout the surrounding area of Blood Wave Temple. Hearing his words, there was a commotion among the surrounding spectators. Extermination. Just from the name alone, it could be seen how terrifying this move would be. I'll wait and see. Jian Wushuang still smiled faintly, showing no signs of wanting to make a move. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Be careful. Light King finally made his move. He held the cyan-colored long stick in both hands at the same time. The cyan-colored long stick, which was less than 2 meters long, suddenly expanded to 3 meters long, like a small mountain. On this small mountain, the principles of light and the principles of wind were perfectly combined, and a destructive power slowly condensed. One strike, extermination. The cyan staff in the hand of Light King finally smashed down. Boom! The world suddenly trembled, and the void seemed to be completely collapsed. The mighty cyan staff shadow, with a terrifying aura that shocked everyone present, directly smashed toward Jian Wushuang. At this moment, the entire world fell into a dead silence. Everyone stared at the cyan staff shadow with wide eyes. This Light King really hid his strength. Di Hao shouted in his heart. He had fought with Light King directly, but Light King had easily defeated him with the combined power of two principles. At that time, Light King did not use the combined power of two principles to perform his ultimate move. This strike is too powerful. A trace of shock appeared in the eyes of Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta. While everyone was in a state of shock, under the cyan staff shadow, Jian Wushuang's face turned cold as he watched the cyan staff shadow smashing toward him. Heaven-cleaving skill. Buzz. Strong pressure from the life level directly burst out from Jian Wushuang's body. This pressure ignored the strength of both sides and the realm level. It was the pressure from the most fundamental life level. The most important thing was that this pressure could not be resisted. Light King's aura was overwhelming, and his eyes were shining. He was very confident in his most powerful strike. None of the immortal saints could resist this strike. That was why he wanted to compete with Jian Wushuang in terms of offensive power and even took the gamble. However, at this moment, the supreme life-level pressure from Jian Wushuang suddenly came into effect. Under this supreme pressure, the expression on Light King's face instantly froze. What is this? There was a trace of fear in Light King's eyes. Under this pressure, his consciousness seemed to have come to a halt. And what he had used was an earth-shaking strike. At this moment, the power of the strike was reduced by nearly half. Then Jian Wushuang struck. He simply raised the Blood Mountain sword in his hand and struck out with it. In the eyes of everyone around him, his strike was very ordinary. However, when they were fighting for the 8th Blood Wave token, Underworld Emperor and Tai Ta had seen with their own eyes that Jian Wushuang had used such an ordinary strike to kill the 9 Temple Saintess, who had nearly 50% of her divine power. Now, the same sword move collided with Light King's cyan longstaff in an instant. Then bang! With a deafening sound, the overwhelming power spread out crazily. In the middle of the battlefield, a cyan longstaff was thrown out, and Light King's body was shot out like a cannonball. Finally, it smashed into the formation light membrane surrounding Blood Wave Temple. The array light film under the impact of the Light King slightly trembled. Silence. The whole world was completely silent. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared at the scene in front of them in a daze. A huge wave rose in everyone's hearts. Before Jian Wushuang and the Light King fought, many experts had already guessed that the collision of the strongest power would be very intense. They also knew that their strongest moves would be extremely terrifying. At the same time, many people also guessed that since Jian Wushuang was recognized by the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance as having the strongest attack power, he should be stronger than the Light King in the collision of the strongest power. However, no matter how they used their imagination to guess, they did not expect this scene. In a head-on confrontation, the power of both sides did not appear to be in a stalemate. Just a clash, the Light King's weapon was thrown out, and then the Light King was pushed back. Easily crushed. This was definitely a crushing level. The difference in power between the two sides was too big. Not to mention the surrounding spectators, even the Light King himself was a little stunned. How did this happen? What was that suppressive force? The Light King frowned. He still remembered very clearly what he had felt in that moment just now. When that pressure came, it made him feel an unprecedented pressure and shock. The power of the most powerful move that he had displayed in that instant, it reduced its power by at least 40%. If it had not been for the pressure, his most powerful move might not have been as powerful as Jian Wushuang's sword, but it would not have been so easily defeated. There was no room for him to fight back. The pressure just now was a bit like bloodline pressure, but there was a clear difference between it and bloodline pressure. It should be at the level of life. Light King narrowed his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. What kind of monster is Heavenly Sword Marquis? How could he have such a terrifying pressure? While Light King was puzzled, Jian Wushuang had already put away his Blood Mountain sword. A smile slowly appeared on his face as he said, "Light King, you lost." "Haha. Light King, are you convinced now?" Underworld Emperor and the others had already rushed over, and there was a strange smile on his face. Light King's face darkened, but then he smiled. "No wonder the true Saint List thinks that your attack power is number 1. The power of your sword just now has completely exceeded the level of the Immortal Saint. Heavenly Sword Marquis, in terms of attack power alone, you can indeed be ranked number 1. I, Light King, am willing to accept my defeat. Samsara Bead, as well as 3 top-grade Holy Treasure level protective armor, and 1 Soul Defense top-grade Holy Treasure. They are all yours." Light King threw an interspatial ring at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took it and glanced at it with his consciousness. The smile on his face grew wider. "Light King, thank you." Light King nodded slightly and walked to the side. After Light King left, the surrounding void exploded. Countless experts were talking about the battle just now. Most of them were amazed by the power of Jian Wushuang's sword. Everyone was shocked by the power of the sword, especially a few experts on the True Saint list. These experts on the True Saint list were strong, so they felt it even more. The moment Jian Wushuang used the sword, although they were outside the battlefield, they still felt a faint sense of death, which made them shudder. There was a rumor that if Jian Wushuang used his strongest trump card, he could kill experts on the True Saint list instantly. At first, I didn't believe the rumor, but now I believe it. Indeed, that sword move could kill an invincible saint easily. As for experts on the True Saint list, if their protective abilities were weaker, they could kill them instantly. This sword attack is too terrifying. I don't know how the Heavenly Sword Marquis mastered such a terrifying trump card. He is a monster. Many eyes could not help looking at Jian Wushuang. However, most of them were filled with fear and fear. At this moment, boom! The world suddenly shook. A faint ripple appeared on the light membrane of the formation that the Light King had crashed into. The light membrane of the formation began to gradually fade. Seeing this scene, many of the experts present were stunned. The Blood Wave Palace is about to open. It's finally about to open. Many burning gazes turned toward the towering palace in the center. At this moment, the light membrane of the array that had been surrounding the palace had completely turned into nothingness. Naturally, the array had also dissipated. At the main entrance of the palace, the huge golden palace door had always been closed. However, a crack had suddenly appeared in the middle of the palace door. This crack was getting bigger and bigger. The ancient golden door slowly opened. Finally, the golden door completely opened, and the world once again calmed down. However, although the world returned to calm, the hearts of the many experts present could no longer calm down. The door of the Blood Wave Hall, which all the experts present yearned to enter, had opened. The Blood Wave Hall was the location of opportunities in the Blood Wave realm. After a long period of time, 99 out of 100 immortal saints who entered the Blood Wave Hall could directly become Principal's Masters. In other words, as long as the immortal saints present could enter the Blood Wave Temple, they would definitely become Principal's Masters. The only pity was that there were only 10 Blood Wave tokens to enter the Blood Wave Temple. The door of the Blood Wave Temple is wide open. Those of us who have obtained the Blood Wave tokens must enter through the door. For those experts who have not obtained the Blood Wave tokens, this is their last chance. Underworld Emperor looked around at the densely packed figures. He said in a low voice, "We're fine. There shouldn't be any blind people who will come to find trouble with us. However, the other 5 who didn't arrive in the beginning will not be able to enter Blood Wave Temple easily," Jian Wushuang said. Indeed, now everyone's eyes are probably on those 5 people. As soon as they appear, the surrounding people will definitely swarm over, Taita said. It doesn't matter whether they can enter the Blood Wave Palace successfully or not. Let's go in first, Di Hao said. You guys go in first. I'm not in a hurry. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Oh, Emperor Ming and Di Hao looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. I have some other things to do, Jian Wushuang explained. Emperor Ming and Di Hao looked at each other in dismay. Okay. Be careful. After saying that, Emperor Ming and Di Hao flew directly into the Blood Wave Temple. The doors of the Blood Wave Palace opened wide, and the countless experts present stared at the entrance of the palace with bloodshot eyes, eyeing it like a tiger eyeing its prey. Right at this moment, a human figure directly passed through the void and rushed toward the palace door. In an instant, countless gazes turned toward this human figure, but after seeing who it was, these people immediately chose to suppress the fanaticism in their hearts. After all, it was the Light King who intended to enter the Blood Wave Palace. Without any hindrance, the Light King directly entered the Blood Wave Palace. Then, the Holy Devil's Son entered the Blood Wave Palace under everyone's gaze, followed by Emperor Ming and Di Hao. Since then, out of the 5 experts who had the Blood Wave token had entered, except for Jian Wushuang. Brother Heavenly Marquis, why are you staying here instead of entering Blood Wave Temple with Underworld Emperor and the others? Taita looked over. Of course, I have my reasons. Jian Wushuang did not explain too much. Outside Blood Wave Temple, after Underworld Emperor and Di Hao entered, no 5th expert with Blood Wave token entered for a short period of time. Although everyone present did not make any moves, everyone knew that. The atmosphere was already tense. Suddenly, from the void beside them, a group of people erupted with astonishing speed and rushed toward the door of the Blood Wave Palace. The appearance of this group of people instantly caused the many experts present to become restless. They are from the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect. Master Ku is in the crowd. He wants to enter the Blood Wave Palace. Stop him! A series of explosive shouts suddenly resounded through the void. Countless powerful warriors moved. The Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect was one of the 3 great freedom alliances of the Divine Beginning Realm. Normally, the many powerful warriors present did not have the courage to provoke the core powerful warriors of the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect, much less snatch the treasures in their hands. However, in the Blood Wave realm, no one cared about the temptation of the opportunity to become the Principal's master in the Blood Wave Palace. Right now, they only wanted to stop Master Ku before he entered the Blood Wave Palace. Then they would snatch the Blood Wave token from his hand. Hong! 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 Streams of tyrannical aura rose up in this void space. The many experts surrounding the Blood Wave Palace swarmed toward the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect from all directions at this moment. All sorts of techniques were directly displayed at this moment. It's really crazy. Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, Yu Yu, and Fei Shui stood there and looked at the scene in front of them with fear. There were 2,000 experts on the field. At this moment, at least half of them were attacking the people of the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect. Facing so many experts, even the Light King would have to retreat. The people of the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect naturally encountered unprecedented trouble. Fortunately, although there are many experts attacking them, most of them are not united and their attacks are scattered. Otherwise, the few people from the Heavenly Ancestor Taoist sect would have been killed in just a few moves. Jian Wushuang looked at the scene in front of him with an indifferent expression. He did not have the slightest intention to attack. At this moment, Master Ku suddenly erupted. He swallowed a drop of divine power and instantly unleashed his terrifying strength, repelling the people around him. Then, he easily passed through the crowd and arrived at the door of Blood Wave Temple. Then, he entered the temple. Since Master Ku had already entered Blood Wave Temple, the people surrounding them had nothing to attract them, so they naturally stopped. Not bad. Master Ku is ranked 6th on the True Saint list, so he has some strength. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Not long after Master Ku entered the Blood Wave Temple, Snow Saint, who was ranked 10th on the True Saint list, also appeared. Snow Saint came from the Burning Heart Celestial Sect, one of the 8 great celestial sects. However, there were no other experts from the Burning Heart Celestial Sect around her. When the experts surrounded her, her figure became ghostly. Swish! 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 Many white shadows moved through the crowd at such a fast speed that many people could not keep up with them, let alone her speed. What a terrifying movement technique! Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. At the same time, he recalled the introduction of Saint Snow on the True Saint list. Saint Snow was extremely powerful. At the same time, Her movement technique was widely recognized by many experts as the #1 immortal saint. Now, Jian Wushuang had finally witnessed it. Unlike his shadowless escape skill was an escape skill. It was mainly used to hide his tracks so that no one could detect him. As for his movement skill, it could be detected, but it was as useless as being unable to detect him. Using her #1 movement skill, Snow Saint easily passed through the crowd in front of her, and soon arrived at the gate of Blood Wave Temple. What was interesting was that when the Snow Saint arrived at the gates of the Blood Wave Temple, there were still some people behind her with bloodshot eyes. Those who had gone mad still wanted to chase after her. Kill her. Among them, the black-robed skinny youth who was charging at the very front was the craziest. He roared and roared crazily like a wild beast because the Snow Saint had already entered the Blood Wave Temple. The others had already given up when they saw this, but he was still charging forward crazily. However, just as everyone was mocking the black-robed skinny youth, the black-robed skinny youth who was about to reach the entrance of the Blood Wave Hall suddenly sped up and entered the Blood Wave Hall. This scene shocked everyone. What's going on? Without the Blood Wave token, it's impossible to enter the Blood Wave Temple. But that person just now. Most of them had not reacted and were still somewhat baffled. However, when Jian Wushuang saw this scene, the corners of his mouth curled up into a strange smile. So it's him. He's really cunning. Haha. This kid is really smart. Tai Ta, who was beside him, also laughed. The two of them already knew the identity of the black-robed skinny youth. As expected, that black-robed skinny youth was the mysterious invincible saint who had luckily obtained the 9th Blood Wave token. Although he had obtained the Blood Wave token, no one in the Blood Wave realm recognized him and did not know who he was. Therefore, he had just blended into the crowd and pretended to be like everyone else to crazily block and kill the Snow Saint. He even pretended to be incomparably crazy and charged forward like his consciousness had been completely occupied by greed. The people around him did not pay much attention to him. Then, he followed the Snow Saint to the entrance of the Blood Wave Hall, and easily entered the Blood Wave Hall. It had to be said that this person was indeed cunning. After the black-robed skinny youth entered the Blood Wave Hall, the experts who had regained their senses immediately guessed his identity and began to curse loudly. Bastard! Damn it, that person just now was the invincible saint who received the 9th Blood Wave token. He actually played us. Fooled us. No, only an average invincible saint like him can successfully enter the Blood Wave Temple. Otherwise, he will die unless he hands over the Blood Wave token. We can only say that he is very smart. Now, 7 people have entered the Blood Wave Temple. Although the Heavenly Sword Marquis didn't enter, we can't get the Blood Wave token in his hand. In other words, there are only 2 chances left. One of these 2 Blood Wave tokens is on Xianxia of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, and the other one is on the Silver Snow King. These 2 people must not let them enter the Blood Wave Temple. All the experts present made up their minds. They had no choice. Their chances were running out. The people from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley are here. A low roar suddenly reverberated between the heaven and earth. In an instant, the eyes of the experts who were still eager for the Blood Wave token turned scarlet again. Jian Wushuang also looked over from the void not far away. His hands could not help clenching into fists. There, 5 figures were rushing over. All 5 of them wore white robes and were women. 4 of the 5 women revealed their faces, but the one in the middle was covered by a veil. Although the face could not be seen clearly with the veil, the beautiful eyes and figure alone were enough to make everyone's heart flutter. Without a doubt, this woman's beauty was extraordinary. She might not be as beautiful as the dead 9 Temple Saintess, but she was definitely not far off. Looking at the veiled woman in the center, Jian Wushuang's fanatical heart was instantly doused with a basin of cold water. It cooled down, and his tightly clenched fist slowly loosened. It's not her. Jian Wushuang shook his head with a trace of disappointment in his eyes. From the very beginning, when he learned of Xianxia's name on the True Saint list and that she came from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, he had been looking forward to it because he felt that this Xianxia was most likely his wife, Leng Rushuang. After all, Xianxia was not famous before. It was as if she had appeared out of nowhere, but she was very strong and had an extremely cold temperament. These characteristics were very similar to his wife. Han Xian had obtained a blood wave token, so she would definitely enter the blood wave temple. Because of this, he did not choose to enter the blood wave temple with Emperor Ming and Di Hao immediately. Instead, he stayed here and waited. He had waited for Han Xian to appear and then wanted to see if she was really his wife. But in the end, he was disappointed. Although the veiled woman in front of him was still veiled and his face could not be seen clearly, and her temperament was also extremely cold, Jian Wushuang could tell at a glance that she was not his wife. The difference between the two was too great. Jian Wushuang sighed heavily in his heart. After a long while, he raised his head again, but a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. Although Han Xian is not Shuang-Er, she is after all a genius disciple of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. If I want to reunite with Shuang-Er in the future, I will have to deal with the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. If I can help Han Xian now, it can be considered as a favor to the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. In the future, it will be much easier to deal with her. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang did not hesitate any longer. He immediately used the shadowless escape technique and rushed toward Han Xian. Han Xian and the other 4 people from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley had long known that they would be blocked by many experts when they entered the Blood Wave Temple. Therefore, they were prepared. They immediately formed a defensive formation. This defensive formation was of a very high level. In addition to the 5 people who were driving the formation, including Han Xian, who had swallowed a drop of divine power, their strength had soared. Even if they were surrounded by many experts, this array could barely hold on. Meanwhile, the 5 of them were relying on the array to fend off the attacks from all directions while continuously approaching the Blood Wave Hall's door. Soon, we're almost at the door of the hall. As the 5 of them got closer and closer to the door of the Blood Wave Hall, a trace of joy rose in the hearts of the 5 people. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. You want to rely on this defensive array to forcefully walk to the door of the Blood Wave Palace? How can it be so easy? A fierce shout suddenly sounded on the battlefield. Everyone, they are using the indestructible true martial array. This array's defensive power is extremely strong. Regardless of whether we attack separately or concentrate our power to attack a single point, it will be very difficult for us to break this array. However, every array has a weakness. The weakness of this indestructible true martial array is in Zigon's position. Everyone, listen to my instructions and attack this point together. The one who shouted was a purple-robed old man. When the surrounding people saw this purple-robed old man, their hearts calmed down. Oh no, it's Elder Ghost Heaven Sorcerer. The expressions of the 5 people from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley changed. Elder Ghost Heaven Sorcerer was just a carefree, invincible saint. In terms of strength, he was not much, but he was very famous in the Divine Beginning realm. That was because he had a very high level of research on formations, especially, he had a very high level of research on some strange formations. For example, the Eternal True Martial Formation that the 5 people of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley had used was an extremely strange and rare defensive formation in the Divine Beginning realm. This formation was very hard to recognize, and there were so many powerful people here. There were also many people who had studied formations. However, since the appearance of the 5 people of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley, no one had seen through this formation. However, this Elder Ghost Heaven Sorcerer was able to see through this formation now. If someone were to see through this formation and find its weakness, then the power of this formation would be greatly reduced. As expected, under the guidance of the Elder Ghost Heaven Sorcerer, many experts attacked consecutively. In just 2 or 3 attacks, they had directly destroyed the indestructible True Force formation. When the formation collapsed, the 5 people from Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley immediately appeared in front of the many experts present. With the Blood Wave token, Han Xian did not have the tyrannical strength of Master Ku, nor did she have the terrifying movement technique of the Snow Saint. Under the encirclement of so many experts, they instantly fell into a crisis. However, at this moment, a figure appeared in the middle of the battlefield. His appearance immediately attracted the attention of many strong people present. Heavenly Sword Marquis. It's Heavenly Sword Marquis. Why is he here at this time? Heavenly Sword Marquis, we are not interested in the blood wave token in your hand. I hope you won't hinder us. Many experts looked at Jian Wushuang, and some even warned him. Haha, I'm just trying to get in your way. So what can you do? Jian Wushuang sneered. He swayed in the crowd and did not attack the surrounding experts. However, those experts who were crazily surrounding and killing Han Xian did not dare to provoke him. Jian Wushuang easily came to the center of the battlefield and came to Han Xian's side. Grab me. Jian Wushuang stretched out his arm. Ha! Han Xian looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. However, since she was in a critical situation, she did not have time to think about it. She immediately grabbed Jian Wushuang's arm and whooshed. Jian Wushuang and Han Xian disappeared into the crowd. When they reappeared, they had already arrived at the entrance of Blood Wave Temple. Time-space teleportation. This move could not only teleport from a long distance but also move at a close distance. Now, Jian Wushuang used time-space teleportation and brought Han Xian to the entrance of Blood Wave Temple. Then they immediately rushed into Blood Wave Temple. Seeing Jian Wushuang and Han Xian enter Blood Wave Temple, many experts present were extremely angry. Bastards! They escaped. We had a chance to kill Han Xian and get the Blood Wave token from her because of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Damn Heavenly Sword Marquis. He entered the Blood Wave Temple by himself, but he helped others to enter the Blood Wave Temple. Those experts who did not get the Blood Wave token were cursing Jian Wushuang. But now that it was a foregone conclusion, there was nothing they could do. Around them, Taita, Chen Hongzi, and the others had strange expressions when they saw this scene. Did the Heavenly Sword Marquis stay here to help Han Xian enter the Blood Wave Temple? Taita stroked his chin. It seems so, but when did the Heavenly Sword Marquis become friends with the people of the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley? I've never heard of them. Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and the others were also puzzled, but they did not think too much about it. After Jian Wushuang and Han Xian entered the hall, they came directly to a magnificent hall. After entering the hall, there were no pursuers behind them. Han Xian immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis, why are you helping me? Han Xian asked in puzzlement. She asked herself if it was the first time she met Jian Wushuang, so they did not have any friendship. And she had never heard of the relationship between the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley and Jian Wushuang. I helped you because of someone in the valley, Jian Wushuang said. Who? Han Xian asked. Her surname is Lung. She should have entered the valley hundreds of years ago, and her position in the valley should be very special, Jian Wushuang said. His wife, Lung Rushuang, was suitable to cultivate the supreme divine skill of the valley. Even the old valley master of the valley valued her very much. After she entered the valley, her position was certainly extraordinary. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Han Xian's expression under the veil changed. Obviously, she knew who the person Jian Wushuang was talking about was. Han Xian, you should know who I'm talking about, right? Jian Wushuang stared at Han Xian. I don't know. Han Xian shook her head directly. In the past 1,000 years, many disciples have entered Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley. I don't know all of them. As for the person whose surname is Lang, I have never paid attention to him. You don't know? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He could tell that Han Xian was lying at a glance. However, Han Xian clearly did not intend to continue this topic with him. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you have indeed helped me a lot this time. I will remember this favor. I will repay you when I have the chance in the future, Han Xian said. Jian Wushuang looked around and hesitated for a moment. He did not continue asking but looked at the front of the hall. The grand hall was quite simple and crude. There were no exquisite and brilliant decorations. In front of the hall, there were 2 passages leading to the inner layer. 2 passages? Jian Wushuang frowned. Someone from the Supreme Emotion-Forgetting Valley came to the Blood Wave Palace with the Blood Wave token, but they left a message that there was only 1 passage in the Blood Wave Temple. But now, why are there 2 passages? Is it because we entered the Blood Wave Temple at the same time? Han Xian was puzzled. It's possible. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, Han Xian, since there are 2 passages, you and I can choose one to enter. You choose first. I'll take this one. Han Xian did not stand on ceremony and directly chose the passage on the right. Then I'll take this one. Good luck. Jian Wushuang said. His body flashed and he directly rushed toward the left passage. The dark and long passage was bottomless. Jian Wushuang carefully moved forward, but his mind was still full of thoughts. Han Xian clearly knows who I'm talking about, but she insists that she doesn't know. Why? Is it because she doesn't want the outside world to know about Shuang-Er? Or is it because Shuang-Er has started to cultivate that divine skill, and the supreme emotion-forgetting valley wants her to cut off all ties with the outside world? Jian Wushuang frowned. Although he did not get anything out of Han Xian's conversation, Jian Wushuang felt a little uneasy. He felt that he could not delay the matter of Shuang-Er any longer. Once the matter of the Bloodwave realm was settled and he had successfully broken through to the Principal's Master realm, he would immediately set off for the second heaven. If I can really become the Principal's Master, I can at least be treated seriously by the supreme emotion-forgetting valley, Jian Wushuang muttered. But at this moment, a long voice slowly came from the end of the passage. Little guy, come here. Come to me. The voice seemed to contain special magic power. It came from the tunnel in front of him, but it sounded in Jian Wushuang's heart and echoed in his mind again and again. Come here. Come here. The voice sounded again and again, and at the same time, an unprecedented summoning power came. Although Jian Wushuang had been vigilant, as the voice sounded again and again, his consciousness gradually sank down. His eyes gradually became listless. At this moment, his consciousness had been completely sealed, like a walking corpse. With the guidance of the voice, he moved forward numbly. After an unknown period of time, Jian Wushuang finally regained consciousness. Once he regained consciousness, he immediately understood his situation. His face suddenly changed, and his back was instantly drenched in cold sweat. He was very clear that his previous state was completely at the mercy of others. What's going on? Jian Wushuang immediately looked around and found that he had come to a dark void where there was no light at all. Even his vision was blocked. Even so, Jian Wushuang still saw a dark figure not far in front of him. Who are you? Jian Wushuang stared at the dark figure. His intuition told him that his muddle-headed state was likely caused by this dark figure. You are now in Bloodwave Temple, but I can easily bring you here. Who do you think I am? The dark figure said slowly in the dark void. You are the master of the Bloodwave Temple? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Yes, but it's just a consciousness, the dark figure said. Jian Wushuang was not surprised. He could feel that the figure in front of him did not have any life aura. It was indeed a consciousness. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bloodwave, and I come from the Life Palace, the dark figure said. Life Palace? Is it a sect or force that specializes in comprehending the principles of life? Jian Wushuang frowned. He had never heard of a force or sect called the Life Palace in the Divine Beginning Realm. However, the Bloodwave Realm could not even be touched by the 3 Saint Realms and the 3 Freedom Alliances. It could even block the will of the Heavenly Tao. It was evident that the strength of the master of the Bloodwave Temple was extraordinary to be able to produce such an expert in the Life Palace. He must be extraordinary. Jian Wushuang, greetings, Elder Bloodwave. Jian Wushuang immediately bowed to show his respect. Jian Wushuang? Aren't you called Heavenly Sword Marquis? Bloodwave asked playfully. Senior, you know my name? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Of course, I created the Bloodwave realm. I know what happened here. Of course, my consciousness is in a deep sleep all year round. Under normal circumstances, it would not be awakened, let alone pay attention to the things in the Bloodwave realm. But this time, I was alarmed because of you. Bloodwave gave Jian Wushuang a deep look. Little guy, it's your perfect life level that has alarmed me. Perfect life level? Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. He was a perfect chaotic creature, which was his biggest secret. Although he had used the heaven-cleaving skill in the Bloodwave realm and revealed the life pressure of a perfect chaotic creature, He had never expected that his display would alarm Bloodwave, who had been sleeping all this time. Moreover, Bloodwave had directly seen that he had a perfect life level. One must know that there was no specific concept of a life level in the divine beginning realm. An ordinary life was an ordinary life, and a special life was a special life. As for the word perfect, it was named by his master Xianxia. Senior Bloodwave, how do you know the level of a perfect life form and recognize it at a glance? Jian Wushuang asked. It's simple. I've seen a cultivator at the level of a perfect life form, Bloodwave said. You've seen my master? Jian Wushuang's heart skipped a beat. He knew that his master was the only one who had a perfect chaotic life form in the divine beginning realm. Now that Bloodwave had said that he had met a cultivator with a perfect life level, he subconsciously thought that it was his master, so he blurted it out. Your master? What's his name? Bloodwave asked. His name is Xianxia. Jian Wushuang answered immediately. Xianxia? I've never heard of him. Bloodwave shook his head. How is that possible? Have you met other perfect chaotic creatures? Elder Bloodwave. Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. Haha, little guy. It seems that your horizons are still a little low, but it's normal. After all, you're only a saint. You're not qualified to touch the secrets of this world, let alone the secrets of the entire universe. Bloodwave said with a smile. The universe? Is it the universe battlefield? Jian Wushuang asked. The universe battlefield? Sort of. Bloodwave continued to smile. Let me put it this way. A cultivator at the level of perfect life, which is a perfect chaotic creature, is very rare. In your current world, it is absolutely unique. However, if it is in the vast universe, it may not be the case. At least, I have seen other perfect chaotic creatures, and there is more than one. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Universe? Universe battlefield? It was said that the universe battlefield was extremely mysterious and had unlimited possibilities. He had always thought that the universe battlefield was just an opportunity, but now it seemed that it was not so. In the vast universe battlefield, there seemed to be other cultivators besides the divine beginning realm, and there were even other perfect chaotic creatures. Senior Bloodwave, is the life palace that you mentioned also a force in the universe battlefield? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Bloodwave nodded. The life palace is the most mysterious and terrifying force in the universe. It has a special feature, which is that it is only open to special life forms. In other words, only special life forms born in the universe are qualified to join the life palace. Only special life forms are qualified to join? Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. He knew very well how rare and powerful special life forms were. In the divine beginning realm, there were indeed too few special life forms. So far, Jian Wushuang had only met two special life forms. One was the Saint Devil Son, and the other was someone he had met before, Xiongtao from the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. These two special life forms had a huge innate advantage. Saint Devil Son, for example, was only ranked in the top 10 on the true saint list due to his simple comprehension of the principles. He did not have many unique skills and secret skills, but because of the huge innate advantage of the special life forms, he could even compete with Light King, and that was why he was ranked second on the true saint list. Jian Wushuang thought it was terrifying to see a force that only special life forms were qualified to join, and all the experts under its command were special life forms. Senior Bloodwave, I'm very curious. How many people are in the Life Palace? Jian Wushuang could not help asking. Many. I don't know exactly how many, but it's definitely beyond your imagination. In addition, I just said that only special life forms are qualified to enter the Life Palace, and I'm not talking about ordinary initial-level special life forms, Bloodwave said. It's not an ordinary initial-level special life form? What do you mean? Are there different levels among the special life forms? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, there are differences among the special life forms. Just like bloodline groups, there are weaker and lower-level bloodline groups, and there are also extremely powerful bloodline groups standing at the top. Bloodwave smiled faintly. There are several levels of special life forms. First of all, the most common and easier to see in the universe are the initial-level special life forms. compared to ordinary cultivators, these special life forms have obvious innate advantages, but their potential is actually similar to that of ordinary human cultivators. If you want to reach the peak, you still have to work hard and take risks to have a chance. Most initial-level special life forms are born within the Tao world and are born within the Tao world. However, above the initial level, there are universe-level special life forms. Special life forms at this level may not be stronger than initial-level special life forms, but they have greater potential. This is because universe-level special life forms are born within the vast universe. There is still a huge difference between the two. Above the universe level, there are special life forms in the creation level. Special life forms at this level have huge innate advantages and extremely high talent. Of course, their potential is much higher than the first two special life forms. In the universe, ordinary special life forms in the creation level can reach the level of universe overlords as long as they don't die halfway. Bloodwave was talking slowly. However, Jian Wushuang, who was listening in front of him, was a little stunned. Initial level? Universe level? Creation level? Tao realm? Universe overlord. These words completely exceeded Jian Wushuang's understanding of heaven and earth, making him feel as if he had entered a completely new level. Above the creation level is the final perfect level. Bloodwave spoke again. His expression became solemn. A perfect level life form is an almost extinct existence in the vast universe. It is possible to have one life form after countless chaos cycles. Such a life form not only controls the supreme life level pressure and makes countless life forms submit to it, but most importantly, it has unlimited possibilities. Infinite possibilities? Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. He did not know what infinite possibilities Bloodwave was referring to, but for Bloodwave to have such a high evaluation of him, it was clear that the level of a perfect life form was extraordinary. And he was the owner of a perfect life form. A perfect chaotic life form is indeed a special existence that countless experts admire. However, because its life form is too high, it makes it difficult for the heavenly Tao, so there are a lot of restrictions and suppression. I think you must have experienced such suppression. Bloodwave looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. Of course, he had experienced the suppression from the heavenly Tao. In Jian Wushuang's opinion, it was not just suppression. The power of the heavenly Tao was clearly trying to kill him at all costs. He had long known that the perfect chaotic creature was repelled by the heavenly Tao's will. In fact, not only perfect-level creatures but also special creatures in the creation universe or even the initial level. They are more or less restricted and suppressed. This is a trade-off between the heavenly Tao's will and the special creatures and ordinary cultivators. And since there is suppression, there will naturally be resistance. Therefore, the Life Palace, which is made up of special life forms, was born. The Life Palace exists to fight against the heavenly will, Bloodwave said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang's heart was in turmoil. Now he finally understood why so many special life forms joined the Life Palace. It turned out that the purpose of the Life Palace was to fight against the heavenly will, to resist the suppression of the heavenly will on the special life forms. The special life forms were not willing to be suppressed by the will of the heavenly Tao, so they would naturally resist. However, they would choose to join the Life Palace because of the influence of one person's strength. Little guy, now you know why I was awakened by you, right? Bloodwave looked at Jian Wushuang again. There are very few perfect life forms in the Life Palace where special life forms gather. Since I can meet one, I won't miss it. Jian Wushuang, as the Chief Supreme of the Divine Life Palace, I'm asking you, would you like to join my Divine Palace of Life? The sudden invitation startled Jian Wushuang. His eyes flickered, but then a smile appeared on his face. I'd like to. Of course, Jian Wushuang could not find any reason to refuse. After all, he had been hunted by the will of heaven all year round. Now that he finally found out that there was a Divine Palace of Life, which was formed by many special life forms to resist the pressure of the will of heaven, he naturally wanted to join it. Haha, very good. From today on, you are a member of my Life Palace. Bloodwave smiled, then waved his hand and handed an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. There are 3 tokens in this interspatial ring. One is a token for a member of the Life Palace. After you refine it, it will leave a special mark in your body. In the future, if you meet another member of the Life Palace, you can sense it through this mark. Of course, the other party can also sense your identity. The second token is my communication token. You are still in this Tao realm, so you don't need to contact me for the time being. But when you leave the Tao realm and go to the depths of the vast universe, you can use this token to contact me. I will tell you how to go to the Life Palace. As for the last token, it records a unique magic power of the Life Palace. This magic power is named after life. All members of the Life Palace can cultivate this magic power. At this point, Bloodwave paused for a moment. Life divine power? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Elder Bloodwave, what is the use of this divine power? The life divine power was created by the founder of the Life Palace after studying the essence blood of countless special lives for a long time. This secret skill can maximize the potential and innate advantage of special lives. To put it simply, the innate advantages and potential of a special life form, especially universe-level and creation-level special life forms, are much greater than that of ordinary cultivators. However, most of these innate advantages are only simple and crude. To a large extent, they are reflected in the power of divine power. However, in reality, the innate advantages they use are only 10%. 10%. Jian Wushuang was stunned. In the divine beginning realm, the innate advantage of the special life forms was very shocking. It was almost difficult to make up for the innate advantage, but Bloodwave told him that the special life forms had only used 10% of their innate advantage. Don't be surprised. To be called special life forms, each of them is extraordinary, not something ordinary cultivators or some bloodlines can compare with. Without any guidance, it's already good enough to be able to use 10% of their innate advantage. And the life divine ability created by the founder of the Life Palace can let these special life forms use their innate advantage as much as possible. For ordinary special life forms, as long as they cultivate this life divine power, they can at least exert 20 to 30% of their innate advantage. If they cultivate the life divine power to the extreme, they may even exert 60 to 70% of their innate advantage. Bloodwave said, even if they cultivate it to the extreme, they can only exert 60 to 70% of their innate advantage? Can't they fully exert their innate advantage? Jian Wushuang asked in puzzlement. No, Bloodwave shook his head. Perhaps someone will be able to perfectly utilize the innate advantage of a special life form in the future, but so far, no one has been able to do so. The founder of the Divine Life Palace is extremely talented and has spent so much time, yet he has only been able to do so much. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. By the way, the move you performed when you displayed your perfect life level in the Bloodwave realm seems to be extraordinary. Bloodwave looked at Jian Wushuang. If I'm not wrong, did you integrate your supreme life level pressure into your swordsmanship? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. But I didn't create that move. If it was my master. Your master? He's also a perfect chaos creature. Bloodwave looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Yes, but unfortunately, my master has died, Jian Wushuang said. Is that so? That's really a pity, Bloodwave sighed. It's incredible that a perfect chaotic creature who hasn't joined the Life Palace can combine the supreme power of his perfect life with his moves and exploit his innate advantage as much as he can. Judging from your previous sword move, you have already exerted a little more than 10% of your innate advantage. If I'm not wrong, this shouldn't be the limit of that move. Yes, the most powerful divine power that Master created is called Heaven-Cleaving Skill. Although I've been studying it, I'm still too weak. I can only use part of the power of that move. It's still far from the ultimate power of that move. Yes, Jian Wushuang said. That's it. If I'm not wrong, the ultimate power of this move created by your master should allow you to exert 30% of your innate advantage. The key point is that he used an offensive divine power, while the life divine power is a special application method. The two might not conflict, Bloodwave muttered. No conflict. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. In other words, it was possible for him to use the heaven-cleaving skill as well as the life-divine power. If he cultivated both the life-divine power and the heaven-cleaving skill to the limit and used the life-divine power to exert 60% or even 70% of his innate advantage, and then used the heaven-cleaving skill to exert about 30% of his innate advantage, did that not mean, would it be possible for him to fully exert the innate advantage of his perfect life? Theoretically, it is possible. As for the result, you can only try it after you have mastered the life-divine power, Bloodwave said. I will try it now. Jian Wushuang was obviously impatient. Don't worry, Bloodwave waved his hand. You'll have plenty of time to cultivate the life-divine power in the future, but you'd better not waste your time now. Don't forget that you're in the Bloodwave Temple now. You came here for the opportunity in the Bloodwave Temple. I used some means to lure you here, but no one else knows about it. But if you waste your time here for a few days, others will surely guess that you have some special encounters in the Bloodwave Temple, and you'll have a lot of trouble later. So you'd better stay with them now. Jian Wushuang was stunned, and then he smiled. Indeed, he had enough trouble, and the three Saint Realms had their eyes on him. If people knew that he had a special encounter in the Bloodwave Temple at this time, there would be more people targeting him. It was better to save these unnecessary troubles. I've told you what I should tell you. As a member of the Life Palace, I hope you can grow up as soon as possible. After all, a special life form of the perfect level can grow to a certain level, which is very terrifying. It's also a great battle strength for the Life Palace. Go! Go! Bloodwave waved his hand, and a space passage immediately appeared in the dark void. Goodbye, Senior. Jian Wushuang bowed respectfully to Bloodwave. Then he plunged into the space passage and disappeared. The dark void calmed down again. Bloodwave, who was shrouded in darkness, looked at the space passage that Jian Wushuang slowly closed, and his eyes flashed with a strange luster. Someone actually developed the innate advantage of a special life form through an ultimate attack. Even the founder of the Life Palace couldn't do this. What kind of person is Jian Wushuang's master? Xianxia, this name seems familiar. Who is he? With doubt, the dark figure gradually quieted down. In the deepest part of the Bloodwave Temple, a huge golden palace door was tightly closed. In the open space in front of the golden palace door, there were a few 8 figures. These 8 people were the first to enter the Bloodwave Temple, including Xianxia, who had just entered the Bloodwave Temple with Jian Wushuang. At this time, they came from a passage behind. Jian Wushuang's figure also came over. Ha! Brother Heavenly Marquis, you finally came in. Upon seeing Jian Wushuang, Emperor Ming immediately greeted him with a smile. Di Hao also nodded to Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you seem to be a little slow. Xianxia glanced at Jian Wushuang. I'm not as anxious as you, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. Xianxia's eyes flickered, but she did not suspect anything. Everyone thought that Jian Wushuang had just entered the Bloodwave Temple normally, but they did not know that he had just gone to the Dark Void and met the master of the Bloodwave Temple. Time passed, and soon the last person to enter the Bloodwave Temple arrived. Jian Wushuang and the others thought that the last person to enter the Bloodwave Temple would be Silver Snow King, who had obtained the Bloodwave token. However, when this person came to the open space, everyone was shocked. Silver Wolf, it's you. The Bloodwave token in Silver Snow King's hand fell into your hands? Everyone looked at the last person to arrive. This person was Silver Wolf, one of the 3 Saint Realms, the strongest expert in the Life and Death Saint Realm, and ranked 7th on the True Saint list. Silver Wolf, what about Silver Snow King? Underworld Emperor glanced at Silver Wolf. He's dead. Silver Wolf's face was a bit gloomy. He was a solitary expert. He tried to break into the Bloodwave Hall by himself but was surrounded by many experts. In the end, he was killed. As for him, he was still alive. Many experts in the outside world began to fight over the Bloodwave token he left behind. My luck was clearly better. That Bloodwave token fell into my hands. Oh! Underworld Emperor and the others were relieved. Indeed, many experts in the outside world were eyeing the Bloodwave token. Except for Light King and the others who were unrestrained in the beginning, They were also stopped by many experts in the process of entering the Blood Wave Temple. They almost could not enter the Blood Wave Temple. For example, Han Xian, if Jian Wushuang did not help her, her result would not be much better than that of Silver Snow King. Silver Wolf, when the Snow Saint and Han Xian entered the Blood Wave Temple, none of the 3 Saint Realms showed up. But when Han Xian and I entered the Blood Wave Temple, you showed up. Jian Wushuang looked at Silver Wolf coldly. His words were full of mockery. Humph, to fight for the Blood Wave token in front of you is courting death. The 3 Saint Realms are not that stupid. Silver Wolf snorted. The 3 Saint Realms did wait for Jian Wushuang to enter the Blood Wave Temple before fighting for it. If Jian Wushuang was there, they would not dare to fight. After all, Jian Wushuang's previous slaughter had scared them, especially after he killed the 9 Temple Saintess, which made experts like Silver Wolf, Thunder God, and Gu Jinzi, who ranked high on the True Saint list, afraid to appear in front of Jian Wushuang. They did not dare to appear in front of Jian Wushuang. Haha, Silver Wolf, you are indeed smart, but you are in front of me now. Aren't you worried that I will kill you directly here? Jian Wushuang stared at Silver Wolf with a wicked smile. Silver Wolf's heart trembled, but he said seriously, "This is the Blood Wave Temple. How dare you attack me? Do you think the rules of the Blood Wave Temple are just for show?" Blood Wave Temple was a lucky place in the Blood Wave Realm, where fighting was forbidden. In the history of the Divine Beginning Realm, it was not that no one had attacked in the Blood Wave Temple, but the first person to do so was directly killed by a mysterious force, and no one dared to attack in the Blood Wave Temple anymore. Silver Wolf knew this, so he was fearless at this moment. Hearing Silver Wolf's words, the smile on Jian Wushuang's face grew wider. Others might be afraid of the rules in Blood Wave Temple, but to him, the rules were not binding. After all, the master of Blood Wave Temple was definitely on his side. Even if he killed Silver Wolf now, he was sure that Blood Wave would not attack him. But if he really did that, it would expose the extraordinary relationship between him and the master of Blood Wave Temple. Forget it. I'll let him live for a while. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and looked away. Seeing this, Silver Wolf thought that Jian Wushuang did not have the courage to attack him in Blood Wave Temple. He could not help but look proud. At this moment, the huge temple shook slightly. Then, in front of everyone, the tightly shut golden gate slowly rose up. A deep and mysterious passage appeared in front of everyone. It's here. The opportunity to become Principal's master is inside. Haha. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and enter. No one hesitated. Immediately, the 10 figures on the empty ground rushed into the mysterious tunnel. When they walked out of the mysterious tunnel, they discovered that they had arrived in a gorgeous galaxy. This galaxy was gorgeous and beautiful. There were countless stars in it. At a glance, it was intoxicating. In the center of this galaxy, there was a huge, boundless gray star floating quietly. This gray star was the absolute core of this galaxy. It was surrounded by endless gray air currents. It was flowing endlessly. From this gray star, a total of 10 gray light beams extended out. At the end of these 10 gray light beams, there was each a floating high platform. The high platform was not big, but it was enough for one person to use it to their heart's content. That gray star is the opportunity we are looking for. The Underworld Emperor raised his head and looked at the gray star in front of him with a face full of yearning. The ancestors of our supreme emotion-forgetting valley said that this gray star is very magical. The 10 light beams from its body are the connection point between us and the gray star. There are 10 high platforms under the 10 light beams, so we can each have one, Han Xian said. Let's go. Jian Wushuang and the others rushed toward the gray star. None of them chose a high platform and immediately sat down on the high platform. Jian Wushuang was also sitting cross-legged on one of the high platforms. The gray light beam connected to the high platform instantly shone on his body. At this moment, Jian Wushuang finally saw the huge gray star in front of him. At first, he thought it was a star, but now, through the guidance of the gray light beam, he realized that it was not a star, but a light ball formed by the fusion of various powers. The power in the light ball had formed a complete cycle, forming an eternity, which made the power extremely calm. That was why the light ball looked like a star. The power that formed the light ball was the power of principles. Yes, it was the principles master, but it was not just one or two principles, but a dense amount of the power of principles. Space-time principles, reincarnation principles, destruction principles, life and death principles, darkness principles, light principles, thunder principles. Everything Jian Wushuang knew about the principles, the light ball had everything. These principles were obviously different, but they were perfectly integrated in the light ball.